Hey, that's the new funky beat for the afternoon. Welcome to the second half of the Dennis Herrera show here in Hump Day. Hump Day. Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. Craig Miz in the house first. Robert got the second notification. Boy, burn it 47. How the hell are you guys? I hope you guys are doing great. I gotta say, 5.5 hours streaming this morning into the afternoon. Had some crazy calls. Ain't gonna lie, some crazy calls. But you know what? I think that we got some pretty good information out there. I, as you guys know, the title of my the title of my video on this live streaming is "What if God was one of us?" Charlie James is living under a rock and says Trump lost the Iran war. Well, we are not at war with Iran. We are just getting rid of the roaches. We are just the exterminators that have been called by the Iranian people, and we are answering the call to protect and defend the innocent. This is what we do as Americans. As America first, we want to take care of our nation, but that does not mean that we are going to forsake the innocent around the world. I know it sounds like I'm being a little hypocritical, biased, or whatever the thing is that you want to call me. But hey, listen, that's just the way I believe. That's just the way I feel. Florida Drew, how are you? Welcome, Omar. How you doing, brother? Don't worry about the mistypes, man. Don't worry about the typos, man. I do typos all the time. I don't care. You know who I make fun of? It's those who correct my typos when they are making their typos themselves. I think that I find very, very funny. Welcome, Roy. Welcome. Trump is the boss. Are you still being a butthurt loser? Ooh, Charles James? Charlie James? Oh, because the Trump lost the war? Yeah. My man. What's going on, man? Hey, I went to watch, give him a little bit of support to my man, Keeping It Real with Mike. I think that's his name, right? Keeping It Real with Mike. I went over there and dropped a couple of lines. You know what's crazy is that everything that we talk about over here, they talk about over there as well. And, you know, the same callers. I mean, not the same callers, but the same mentality of the callers. I find that very interesting that it's not the same guy. Now, Robert, I'm a big believer of second and multiple chances for this sound guy. There's something about this sound guy that I really like, and so I got to be very, very lenient, very, very lenient. But anyway, so I found that the same points that we have, I guess we have the same mentality, I guess, but the same points that we have on how and why we are supporting Trump, why and why we follow or believe in the policies that are in place through this administration, and how we, even though we're not like together, right? We're not like together interacting. It's crazy how, just like us here, for all of you who have taken the time aside to be a member to support me on the extra mile, I appreciate you. Just like we agree, and we believe in the things that is happening right now with Trump, the same way they also believe, other conservative podcasters, I guess I can call them, and the same kind of people call. Like, it's not the same people per se, but it's the same kind of people, the same mentality that calls in and they start saying the same points. And like when we're talking about the Save the America Act, poor Mike, he had this black man called in talking about Jim Crow 2.0 and how the married women are going to be taking their votes away. And, back in Jim Crow, they try to do. I'm like, bro, are you serious? You have not gone past that? You have not gotten better? I don't understand. And and so the same excuses, the same excuses, same excuses. And I just wondering, what the hell are we doing? Like, like people, some people that are negative on my channel all the time, it is what it is. It is what it is. They leave negative comments on my channel, on my videos, and then they wonder why I call them liptards. And just so you know, just so you know, when they come on my chat, all right, Mr. Juan, how are you? Good evening, sir. Just so you know, when they come on my chat, they have already left all these nasty ass comments on my videos, on my shorts, and so I already know these people, okay? And they have left some very nasty comments on my videos. A lot of them brag about how many times they have reported me, and to each his own. I hope that you guys don't go and do the same thing. I hope that you're not doing the same thing. If you go into another person's podcast and they're opposite of who we are, just leave them a comment, but don't go and try to belittle them and try to just destroy their channel. But these people, they do try to destroy my channel. They brag about misinformation and this guy is racist and he's this and that, and I'm just like, I don't I don't know where or how they get this information about me. But every time that I am here, you guys know me. You guys know me better than anybody else, especially if you're in my channel most of the time. Okay, so I really don't know what to say about these people. Honestly, all I know is that by the time they come into my chat, I already have a bunch of negative things that they've been saying about me, and that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and open the lines right away, just so that we continue the conversation. And I wanna I wanna talk. I got some questions, and I don't know if maybe we should wait until we get some more people on here. Why don't we do this? Let me go ahead and play you my AI join members, giving you thanks for your support, and then we'll go from there. Possum, welcome, sir. Greetings and salutations. Uh, by the way, you are allowed to laugh at my AI dancing.
Is he here, kid?
I gotta entertain you. Are you not entertained? I gotta entertain you guys. Listen, life is tough. Life is hard. You guys put up with a lot of my BS. You guys put up a lot of my yelling and passion and frustrations, etc., etc., etc. And I appreciate you. There is one more thing that I was going to do. What was it? I was going to do something else for you as well. Um, I know who was the stream boss. I know it was Cutting Edge. I've been slacking on the stream boss. Cutting Edge has been dropping a lot of supers to help me out um, with my channel so that I can continue moving forth. And of course, all of my yeah, I'm only 6'1", buddy. But I appreciate everybody's support. Whether you can help me monetarily, that's fantastic. That's great. Obviously, that's how we pay bills. But just being in here, all the Christmas lights, blues and reds, you guys go above and beyond what I expect from you. Besides subscribing, so thank you for that. Thank you for the advice, by the way. Personally, you guys are my family on a personal level. Some of you got my phone number, and you guys know what to do with that. I appreciate it. Oh, watch out, Jason Martin. How the heck are you? You have survived. Is Mike still alive? I don't know if he's still alive, but I have. Here's the questions that I have for you guys today. If you want to comment, anybody can call. Obviously, I'll try to keep the calls short. Now, when Cutting Edge comes in, because I'm sure he's going to come in, when he comes in, I will go ahead and give him his appreciation for being the stream boss of the Dennis Herrera show. So when he comes in, we'll go ahead and give him the President Trump's dance. All right. So here's the questions that I have. I've written a couple of questions for you. Man, boy, Jason, Mike was going off a little bit. It was going off. He gets the same callers that I get over here. The same callers. What would happen? Here we go. What would happen in the world, or what would happen to Israel if they had no military power? Yeah, time on my side. I haven't seen him in a while. What would happen if Israel had no military? I want you to call in and comment on that question. I got 3 questions that we're going to go back and forth. I want you to comment. What would happen if Israel had no military? And you can tell me, Faith Walker, how are you? Oh, man, you coming in here saying hello the right way, my friend. Man, okay, I got to do a little bit of extra work for you here, my friend. Hold on. At Faith. It's been a while, man. I haven't seen you for a while. Let's see, right there. Bam! There you go. There you go. I told you Cutting Edge is going to make it here. Okay, so before I take calls, before somebody else takes Cutting Edge out of the... I got you, Jason. I'm going to wait for your call. Before somebody takes Cutting Edge off of here, I want to go ahead and do a little homage. Cutting Edge is the boss. And I've been Cutting Edge. I know, brother, you're the boss in most of my chats or most of my lives. But right now, I want to honor you, sir. Here we go. Cutting Edge, the big boss, el jefe, el patrón, representing Dominican Republic and the United States of America. Ozzy Crosby. Hello there, Governor. How are you doing today? Get funky with it. All right. So I want you guys to call in, and the question is, what would happen if Israel had no military? Now, I want you to think about the question. You know how many countries, how many people have been attacking Israel throughout history and all this stuff. What would have happened, or what would be our world today without Israel? What would happen if they had no military? Let me put the phone number on here so you guys can call in. I want you to just give me your honest answer, whatever you think. Now, the reason why I'm doing this, guys, is because I want to get an understanding out there, and maybe this way we could maybe get a better understanding why we support Israel. And then this way I can tell to see if what you do think about Israel, because it's not that we go to war for Israel. It's not that we go and do what they say, but the causes that they fight for, those are causes that we also support. And so I want to hear from you. Okay. All right, let's go. I know this one is Robert. Mr. Robert.
Hey, if there was no Israel military, there would be no Middle East.
Interesting. Why do you say that?
Because they uphold the peace in the Middle East.
Yeah, that's what I believe. What else you want to add to that? What would happen if Israel had no military? What other consequences besides the Middle East you think that would happen if Israel had no military? How would the world view everybody else around Israel?
Around Israel, they'd be trying to take their land from them.
Oh yeah. They would have killed every single one of them already.
Yep.
I put the question on here because one of the things that I think about, is okay. So if Israel had no military, I know of all these attacks that this terrorists around them have been doing on them. How much? Not all, but I would say a lot of Muslims, a lot of Muslim countries who have very radical, Muslims. It's kind of disgusting. There is a demonic force behind it. You can almost smell it. If you know, if you can discern it, you can almost smell the evil around these people. But I want to tell you something. I don't smell that on other Muslims. So I want you to know that there's a difference.
The two countries that would attack Israel first if Israel had no military would be Iraq and Iran.
Yeah, that could be. That could be. I mean,
territory.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, so, and I'm going to get to something deeper than that, but I really believe that this country, all the leftists that we have today, if Israel was to be destroyed today, there will be no outcry, there will be no genocide protest, there wouldn't be any of that.
Yeah,
they're so anti-God.
They are. By the way, Dennis, can I answer that question you asked the other day since nobody could get the answer right?
You answered already.
Yeah, but they didn't hear me explain it. You told me not to say nothing else in the chat, and nobody saw what I typed.
All right, go ahead. Explain it to me. What can we do to fix the economy? How do we get taxes out of people without raising taxes?
To bring businesses into your state, you have to give them some kind of incentive to come into the state, which in turn would raise the state's tax revenue without raising it on its citizens or other businesses.
Yeah, that's one way. Absolutely. I think that's probably the most logical way and the least lazy and most hardworking, deserving way. Something that Democrats don't know anything about.
Yeah, because even if you give a business
behave, Oscar,
a small tax break, like say a 10% tax break for 5 years. After that 5 years, you still have increased your state's tax revenue, dips.
Yeah.
Even though they get a 10% tax break, they're still contributing 90% more than what you had.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see if we can add that to the question of today, and let's see how many calls we can get in. But the obvious answer for what will happen to Israel with no military was too easy. I think too easy.
Yeah, the Palestinian Hamas and all them would take it right over, and then it'd be open to Iran and Iraq to come in and stake claim to it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you. I think Unpolished wants to call in. Let's go. Let them call in, brother.
All right, let's rock and roll.
Let's rock and roll. I want to hear I want to hear your opinion. So feel free to go ahead and call. The number's right there on the line. on the screen. Let me know what's up. Oh man, I want another cup of coffee, but I'm trying to cut down on coffee around this time of night. Man, I get no sleep. I get no sleep, and then I pay the price during the day. All right, there's a small delay, but you should be able to call there. Let's see. Faith says I just left not too long ago Herbal Iraq Air Base, where we have joint service stations that recently got attacked. I was present there when Iran fired at Israel the first time. Man, Faith Walker, stay strong, soldier. We appreciate you. We're praying for you. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling. Who are we speaking with?
Hello. This is John calling. How are you today?
John, how you doing, baby?
I'm doing all right. How are you today?
Yeah, doing good. Getting my second half of live questions. Did you have not no milk on my coffee, Jacobs? Only coffee, black coffee. Did you have a question or a comment, or did you want to answer one of my questions?
I want to answer one of your questions that I saw you talking about with the guy before this.
Okay.
Can you repeat the question?
Here, I'll give you the second one because the first one was answered already. What would happen?
Properly, though?
What would happen if Israel had no military? That's the first question.
Okay, I gotcha. If Israel had no military.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Middle East would be ravaged with war. I mean, as it already is.
Yeah.
I don't know. So you're in support of Israel, yes?
Oh yeah, of course. I support the whole Middle East, but Israel, yeah, absolutely.
I gotcha. I'm definitely in support of Israel as a nation.
Yeah.
But not their politics. The whole
Yeah,
Zionism
yeah,
movement. I
sure.
don't think that I'm not in support of that. Like,
Yeah.
Judaism as a whole is a beautiful religion. Zionism, on the other hand, I think that any group that
I'm not,
preaches-
yeah, I'm not a supporter of Zionism, Judaism, or any other ism over there. I support the spiritual, blessing over Israel, but political views, yeah, we agree on most things, but some things I might have to disagree, and at the same time, I can't blame them for what they do, to be honest. But that's why I'm asking these questions, because I want to see if people can see the other side of the coin. Because right now, think about this. Israel is such a small, miserable country, bro. And you have all these big, gigantic countries compared to it, attacking it. And then when Israel, a little tiny guy, defends himself, and because he's so successful at defending himself, they look like the genocidal maniacs. So I have to ask the question so that I can get an understanding where people are. And I'm glad that you answered that question in that manner, because when I say that I support Israel, people normally go to the extreme, everything Israel says jump, how high? No, 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 no. I got my limitations, but of course I believe Israel is one of our friends. As a matter of fact, I always extend my support, and I get condemned no matter what anyway. But I extend my concern, my support to the Abraham Accords. I have listened to all other Arabs, right? I mean, they're all really brothers, bro. I know some are darker than others. Yeah, go ahead.
And Issac.
That's right. Yeah. I know, man. I say that all the time, and I guess only people that really pay attention, right, to the story in the Bible. But they are all family, and when I hear the Abraham Accords, maybe I'm hearing something different, or my faith wants to tell me, my heart wants to tell me that this is wonderful, and it's so good to see family getting along. But I could be wrong. Maybe the Abraham Accords are not as great as I think it is, but I do like how the Saudi prince and other Arabs, and other Emirate Arabs that are around there have said that they are more than willing to work with Israel, and that they're against Iran right now because they are like Hitler. They want to keep expanding, and this is like, bro, we have our we have our lands. Everything has been determined. Where we at right now, we're cool. This is what I hear from the Arabs. But there is those horrible Arabs, the extremists, they just cause all these problems, man. And I don't know why people take their side. I really don't. But I'm with you 100%. Politics, yeah, we can discuss. Judaism, Zionism, all that stuff, yeah, we can discuss. But I myself, I'm a pagan. And if it wasn't for Jesus Christ, I believe we were all going to hell.
I got you.
All right. So
I
go ahead. It's your turn.
and I got you. Yeah. Like the whole thing we were saying about it's kind of like a family dispute. Are you Hispanic by chance?
Yeah.
Herrera. I know. I figured.
Yeah. I'm Central America. See that flag right here?
No, I'm. Let me see. I'm not on the video.
On my left.
Okay, yeah, I see it. What is that?
Honduras.
No?
Honduras. That's right.
Yeah. I was gonna say, funnily enough, it's kind of almost like like when family fights over the terrenos.
Yep.
Kind of the same thing. It's
Yeah.
literally them just fighting over land.
Ni más ni menos. Yeah.
Literally.
Yep. Yeah, ni más ni menos. And I see. Sometimes I feel like we should just butt out, let them do what they're gonna do. But at the end of the day, I mean, look at Hamas, right? They sacrifice Palestinians, and then Israel gets blamed for it, and then you have Iran sacrificing Iranians, and then the United States gets blamed for it. It's just like I'm trying to see the other side of it, like maybe I'm being naive. I question myself on this, and I just can't take the left side approach to this. I just can't. It doesn't make sense. Like right now, I get this push from the left. Okay, so I'm a migrant, right? So anybody can say, if I was white, people be like, oh, you don't know what it's like to be a migrant. Oh, you can't say anything. Well, I am a migrant. I follow the law. I've never been illegal in this country. And it's not that I am boasting that I'm the best. No, I'm not the best, but I did follow the law. My mother taught me. I followed the lead, became a resident, 2.5 decades, became a citizen. And so when I speak about legal immigration and respecting the immigration law, I get hated for it, called racist, and all these, all these other, racist names that they want to give me. And that's okay to call me whatever, but they don't understand how much love I have for my Hispanic people. Like they will never understand, what it's like to love somebody and to teach them. It's like people don't get taught discipline. I will never tell my children, hey, go to the border, cross it illegally. No. If you don't get allowed there, don't go there. I'll come to you. It's very simple. Not that it will happen, because if I'm a citizen, then all my children are citizens, right? According to my nationality here in the United States. But other people take a hateful approach to that. And they don't understand that when you have more illegals, right? Even though they're loved ones and family, when you have more illegals coming in here, you're putting the rest of the people that have been waiting for many years, you're putting them back farther in the line. And I really think that Democrats and the Republicans in Congress have been sleeping on this. And I blame both sides for not having immigration reform happen a long time ago with DACA and TPS. I really blame the Congress for that. I think they're useless. The legislature branch is a piece of junk, and I have no faith on it. And the other branch, the judicial branch, that is actually out there acting like damn activist judges, not looking for the best interest of the United States, I can't trust them either. Even when they are on our side, they're never consistent. They don't have I don't know, man. I'm a foreigner, coming to this country. And I don't know about you, but I interpret the Constitution way different than a lot of Americans do over here. I don't know what you think about that. Well, for example, we have the Constitution. The Constitution is called the United States of America Constitution. And the Declaration starts as we the people. Well, I believe that we the people are those who have a voice, meaning you have the right to vote. And, we have this thing where, in Spanish, you seem to speak a little Spanish there. In Spanish, Mexicano? Oh, okay, awesome. Entonces, that the persons is the same, is equals people, okay? And when you're using the word persons or people in a constitution that is for Americans, they interpret it as in anybody. in the world that comes here, right? And so they argue, and the interpretation, they argue that because it says persons, it means everybody. And I say, well, I don't believe that, because persons means people. And we, the people, are the only people that have the right to vote. And so they say, yeah, but, if you want to be president, it is very specific. And stay with me. It says it's very specific. It says that in order to be a president, you have to be a birth citizen, right? Birthright citizenship in order to be able to run for president. And I said, that's right. And so people argue with me, right? And they say, yeah, but you see the difference? He says, it says right there, it specifies that you have to have a birthright citizenship in order for you to run for president. In my mind, yes, it makes sense. And then they go back to the argument, but you see how here it says persons. And I said, okay, do you know why they have to specify birthright citizenship in order to be president? Because I'm a citizen. I cannot run for president. I'm a naturalized citizen. So this is my argument that, yes, they specify birthright because it's the presidency. But because also there's naturalized American citizens like myself, migrants, right, that come here and that were not born in this country. So, of course, it has to specify which citizen. But when it comes to persons, it just equals people to me. It doesn't matter how they write it. If the word said people and it says we the people, well, we're not we the people until we can vote. Even as a green card holder, I never believed that I was one of the people because I had no voice. And that the voice to me just means voting. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Americans have misinterpreted the Constitution for freaking hundreds of years now. But that's just me. Nobody believes that.
250 years, no?
Yeah, 200. That's right. Behind me, 250 years. That's right. Pretty damn close. So here's the only thing I say. And now you're Mexican, so I'm thinking that you can either hate me or appreciate it.
Mexican-American.
Mexican-American. There you go. I like it. Don't put the American states down. All right. So here's the thing. This is what I think about birthright citizenship challenge. Okay. All this time, I don't care if it has been misinterpreted. This is my position. If they do end up, we'll have to wait until June, I think. If they do say that, birthright citizenships will not be given to sons or children of illegal immigrants, tourists, even if they are legal, tourists, somebody that's going to be here temporary, you will not have birthright citizenship. At the date that law happens, I agree. From there on, I will say yes. But everybody else that has already gotten it before that date, I think they got to keep that citizenship because that is just the way it is. I don't think it should be a retroactive thing, but it could go moving forward. There's a lot of arguments about that, but that's just me.
I have a good argument for this, all right?
Go ahead.
Okay. Let's look at the statistics, okay? Birth rate, as far as, like I said, Mexican-American, I was born in the U.S., whatever, went to school, grew up in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
A lot of the people that I've grown up with, I'm 23 years old currently. A lot of the people that I went to school with, no one's having kids anymore. So at the end of the day, for our birth rate, you got to think about this, ready? Social Security. Why is our generation not going to be able to get Social Security? Because there's not enough people being born to pay into Social Security. You know what I mean? Because of the birth rate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So by the time I'm 60 years old, the birth rate's dropping so significantly because people aren't having children anymore. Like, if you go back to, the baby boomers era, post-World War II, America, number one industrial capital of the world. You have to think, World War II, we didn't join until 1942. Wasn't it December 7th, 1942, after the attack of Pearl Harbor?
Oh, you're good with your dates.
The war up until that point.
Good job. Yep.
Oh, was that? Yeah, I know. I like my history, brother.
Good job, man. You're better than me. I forget dates.
That's all right. I like this stuff. But what's it called? You got to think. Before that point, Asia was at war. Africa was at war.
Yeah.
Europe was at war. The U.S. was the only one that was able to produce everything for the entire world, essentially, at that point, which is why we got our economic boom, which is why in 2026 we are still the number one military in the world. But as far as economy goes, we've been doing because in the 1980s, a lot of our economy started getting outsourced because they started realizing, the capitalists, the big companies, they started realizing, well, we can get cheaper labor overseas. Why would we pay our Americans this much when we can get it this cheap overseas?
Yeah.
My argument for building our economy back up in this sense would be the fact that, well, we need to be able to have industry come back. So that, as the guy said before, we need to incentivize people to have companies in the U.S.
Correct.
But then at the same time, we need to penalize companies for outsourcing. We need to penalize them. So incentivize the ones that want to, penalize the ones that don't. Kind of make it a force type of deal.
Yeah.
I know that kind of deviates from my original point about
No, you're on it. I get you.
Yes. Yes. What I'm saying with that is essentially, by having the birthright thing, now we're having people that are going to be born into the United States now that are going to be able to contribute to Social Security, which is going to benefit the future.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And by taking that away, the only people having babies in the country, I mean, why would that make sense? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think it would make sense.
Yeah.
We need those people to pay into Social Security.
Oh, yeah. Well, so I'm a guy that you're going to love or hate. I normally take the negative on everything. And then I try to fight myself because other people don't know how to talk. Everything. I like the way you went around it. That makes sense to me. I don't know why it's hard for people to talk to me. I like what you just said. Makes total sense. And you're allowing me to give you my rebuttal. Because here's the thing. People never listen. They never listen. They always hear to respond with whatever the hell they already believe. But they're not there listening to see if they can understand what I say. With that being said.
Listen twice, think twice.
Right. So I'm glad that you do that. So here's my thing. I want all of my Hispanic people to come here and be legal. I do. I want every single one of them. I want to be able to bring half of the Honduran population here to the United States of America, get them jobs and all. It sounds great and fantastic. Here is the problem, that we have this useless Congress, this legislature branch, that presidents like Barack Obama, even Trump, have tried to do immigration reform, and they have denied it. They are selfish bastards. They don't care about us having this good Hispanic workers or, any other migrant that's been waiting here, Asians or whatever, that have been waiting here for a long time that should have papers already. They don't care. They don't care if we have issues with the law. They don't care that they're breaking the law. They don't care about helping them become residents and then becoming citizens. I think that the whole argument would have been gone a long time ago. At the same time, if we start telling the world that it's okay to come to this country, because Americans don't want to reproduce anyways, and tell them to come to this country, I want you to just think about two things yourself, okay? One of them, if we bring a lot of people, like we have millions crossed in this last few years, right? Because of the stupid open border. We had a lot of cartel. We had a lot of terrorists come through, along with a lot of good people. But the problem is we give a message to the world that, we're just open season. Just come in and no matter. Don't worry if you have a house. You can always get together with other people and live with them. Ask yourself this question. What kind of people, because remember, it's not just the good people that come through. What kind of people are we going to have in here? And you have seen the statistics, and you see who has come here. A lot of gangbangers, right? Not just from Mexico, not just from Salvador, Honduras, but all the way down from Venezuela and South America. And here's the second question, all right? So first question is, who is coming across that is not vetted? How many people can we really afford to have in this country, and will they actually be working, or are they going to have to start getting benefits that belong to American citizens in the first place? Okay, it creates a burden economically. But the major thing is this: how are you going to secure the Americans of the United States of America? It's in a matter of national security. So two questions, right? What kind of people? And how would you secure the national security? What do you think about those things?
People we have in it. Okay, yeah. All right. So the people that we're having come in, great questions, 100%. I want to get into politics, so that's why I'm trying to practice right now. I think we need more young people in politics.
Good.
That's what I think.
Yeah, man. Get in there. Hey, listen. Only thing is this: get into politics, but get into politics for number one. You cannot have conflict of interest. You understand what that means?
Yeah, of course.
You're Mexican American, right? That's right. Yeah. Yes, we got to be tough on them, but we also have to fight very hard for the good ones. Okay. Just with that, keep that in mind in your mindset because you cannot destroy the American people's rights to for us to defend our people. Okay, even though
100%, yeah.
even though
I
everybody's our people
completely,
now.
I gotcha. And I can completely agree with what you're saying about protecting the American interest. But at the same time, isn't it also interesting how people try to say, like you said, claiming benefits and whatnot, right?
Yeah,
In order to even get papers, I mean, like I'm sure you understand this because you have to go through the whole process of getting, your documentation and whatnot. You need to pay taxes. You have what is it, an ITN number, ITA number, in order to pay taxes. You need an immigration, what is it, alien identification number for taxes. They're still paying into taxes. So I would say, arguably, the benefits they're getting are still rightfully theirs. So they're still technically paying into taxes.
that's a loophole. So if you're getting into politics, you have to know that is a loophole. So, like for example, here in Washington State, okay, number one, federal law supersedes state law. Okay, so if any migrant comes into this country, whether they came here legally and overstayed, illegal is illegal. When you are in this country illegally, okay, you cannot work. If you do work while you're here, you commit a felony because you have no right to be here and no permission to work. If you use fake papers or other Americans or other residents' papers, it is also fraud. And that's a bad thing, okay? So the loophole is if you go to the IRS office and get an ITIN number, like you said, I think it's ITIN number. It's a 9-digit, yeah, 9-digit like a social security number, okay? And you can open a business, but you cannot work. You have to understand this, okay? You cannot work, and so you can employ yourself. If you do your own business and you are claiming to be an employee, you effed up. That's a felony. And so if you, let's say, for example, you get a lonchera, right? You get a taco truck, for example. You get a taco truck, yes, you can have that business. You will pay taxes on that business, but you cannot employ yourself. You got to employ somebody that is actually legal to work. And that's how you get around that. But you still make your money, you know what I mean? And you wouldn't be paying taxes because that's just money that goes to you. That's sort of like the business is like its own entity. You're not an employee. You cannot be an employee. That's illegal. But
For a limited liability corporation or company.
yeah. I mean, yeah, like if you came here and it's still cheating, right? But it's a loophole, right? So you came here, you set up all these Paco's landscape, right? You set up the employees, you hire the manager, blah blah blah, and you go back to your country. You just collect. You collect money, and good to go. Now, by collecting that money, you can always say you no longer, unless you're a criminal, right? You no longer will have to fight hard to come here if you got land and you got money in the bank and you say, hey, listen, I just want to come and visit. I don't work. I'm just here to, for pleasure. You can always request a permission to do business, not work here, but to do business in the United States. And that's legit. And then you're 100% covered. So whatever the company makes after you pay the taxes, after you pay the employees, after you pay all the expenses, etc., whatever money is left is all yours. Clean, free taxes.
Yeah.
Good, yeah, that's good money for you. That's one way to doing it.
And can we talk historical since we're talking about immigration anyway? Can we talk about
Okay, sure, yeah.
All right, so let's go back in time. World War I, for example. Okay.
Yeah.
There was a big propaganda going for inviting immigrants in to work because
Yes.
all the men were out at war, right?
Right.
And then I don't know if you're familiar with this, but during the Great Depression, there was huge deportations happening of American citizens as well. I think it was 2 million people that were deported.
I don't know about that.
World War II. I would look into it.
Okay, sure.
World War II, we invited in. I'm just looking at it. It's called Mexican repatriation or
Sure.
repatriation.
Yeah.
Point being is, then World War II happens, right?
Yeah.
Invite a bunch of workers in again after kicking them out 20 years ago.
Yeah.
1954 happens. Operation Wetback. That's what it was called. Operation Wetback.
Yeah. I know.
That's what
I
it was
know.
called.
Yeah.
and they kicked out millions of people again.
Okay.
Once again.
Yeah.
And then they invited them back in. So it's like
Yes.
a never-ending cycle of realizing that we do need immigrants to work.
Yeah.
We need
Absolutely. Absolutely. We do need it. But here's the key point. Why? Why? How and why did that happen?
because we needed labor. We need laborers.
Yeah, but why would they get deported? Why and how that happened? Why would they get
Well, the
deported?
Great Depression, we needed to support the American citizens.
Yeah, we needed the temporary help, right? Temporary help. So what I'm getting at, remember, always have in mind every argument that you have with you, always put it in the back. And I tell you because you say you want to get into politics. I'm not a politician, by the way. I just know what I'm talking about. Always put this in the back of your head on any argument that you have. Because remember, our feelings, our emotions, or even a logical thinking of how things should work is fantastic. That's great that you can critically think. Always put this in the back of your mind, the word law, every single time.
Okay.
So if you're talking about World War One and we needed workers in here, okay, so how did we get those workers here? There was a law passed. There was a permission. There was a process, right, that was followed. Like right now, I will tell you this here in Washington State, okay, and it's not just to blame the illegal immigrants. It's not just to blame the people that come with H1B, HB1 visas because that's legal. They're here to work, right? It's not. It doesn't fall 100% on them. There is companies, there's corporations, big farmer corporations that they lay off Hispanic residents, citizens, and we're talking about our Hispanic community. They live, like for example, here in Washington, they live up in Yakima, towards the desert part of eastern Washington. And what they do is they lay off the citizens, residents, and some illegals. This is weird, but yeah, but they lay off some illegals. And what these corporations, these sons of bitches are doing is they get a bunch of people which HB1 visas, and then they pay them the minimum that they can pay them. They don't give them benefits, and they shove them up in one room. They don't care how long they work. They don't have any break rules, nothing. And so even though you have some illegals here, they have citizen babies right now, and you have residents who they're legit to work, and you have citizens, they're legit to work. But here in America, when you have those employees, you are forced to provide some type of benefit for them, and you got to pay them.
Unless they're an independent contractor.
Yeah, right. And you got to pay them fair wages. And so they lay off a lot of our Hispanic. It's not even white people. It's Hispanics that are legal, but they lay them off, and they use foreign help to benefit from it. So the system is messed up, and I think the government is to blame for it because, we have these laws, just like the deportation. I don't know if I'm going to look into the 2 million Americans being deported, but I don't know if you're talking about San Francisco, if you're talking about the San Francisco deal, but that's something different. There was a law that was passed for all these things and a process for it. And I think that's the one part that people always miss when they have that argument. That's what I said. I like the way you talk because you allow for a pause of criticism and insert in what's missing. Man, I think you'd be great, bro. No joke. I really think that you'd be great. I would say keep feeding yourself with information. Take everything with a grain of salt. Even everything that I tell you right now, take it with a grain of salt. You like your history, and I think that's going to take you a lot of places. And just remember, no conflict of interest. Yes, fight for your people, but now you got two people. You got the Mexicans and you have the Americans. They are both your people, and you have to be fair. How are you going to do that? With the law. That's the only way, my friend.
Well, I'm definitely into. I mean, yeah, like you said, with Mexican people. Honestly, I don't have more loyalty towards either group. To be honest, I'm more so, like I said, America first.
I like it.
At the end of the day, like America first. Like, I mean, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of any of that, America first. But at the same time, we need to be able to take care of the people that are here.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like I said, the birth rate is dropping. We need immigrants to come here and have families because
Yeah.
we're not having them.
Yeah.
We're just not. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was a kid in the early '80s, we always heard talks of women wanting to come to the United States of America here illegally, and they wanted to come in and make babies, which is we call the anchor babies, right? That is wrong. That's not a reason to come to this country. That's not how or why you want to be here. The biggest problem that I have with illegals having children and them being American citizens. Remember what I told you about national security. They were destroying L.A. during the riots, right, because of ICE. There,
Was
this
it 1990s, was it?
no. Right now, right now, right now.
Oh, right now, right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, with ICE, and but yeah, that happened back then too. But here, just happened right now. It's okay. I want to see what are you protesting, and what they're saying, bro, is that they're, I kid you not, they are pissing and burning the American flag. They're stomping on it, and they're raising the Honduras and the Mexican flag. I'm like, what the you doing, man? That's that no.
That's an act
That's
of war, if you call it.
exactly yeah. But well, dude, nobody says that. I am glad somebody besides me says this because that's exactly what it is. Your invasion, right? And then they sit there, and you like history, so I want you to go read the Guadalupe of Hidalgo de Guadalupe. I think Guadalupe de Hidalgo. I want you to learn that history, okay? And
Guadalupe Hidalgo.
yeah, Guadalupe de Hidalgo, and
Was that during the revolution?
that's the
after
Mexican American War. That is a treaty.
wow.
Yeah, it's a treaty. And you will learn that it's because of debt and bad Mexican government that we got this land. But anyway, so these teenagers or these young adults that don't really learn history like they go out there and they start cursing the Americans. They wave the Mexican flag, curse the Americans, and tells them that California belongs to Mexico. And I'm just like, yeah, I believe that this part of the Northern America belonged to our Northern American natives, and Mexico took it. So I don't know how I feel about that if you go in that way, but the treaty makes it very clear.
Technically, Spain took it. First.
Well, Spain came and raped out all of us and took our lands, period. And then we started independizing ourselves from them. By the way, I think Mexico has the same Independence Day, I think. Maybe different day, but it's 1821, yes? The Mexican,
So, yeah,
yeah.
September 16th.
Yeah, ours is September 15th. I believe it's 1821. So during the same year. And by the way, Honduras used to be part of Mexico. Did you know that?
I did not know
Yeah,
that.
Mexico went all the way from North America. Obviously, Mexico is still in North America, but it went from California, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, something else in there, all the way down to Panama. That was Mexico. Yeah, there you go. You like history, now you know. But I'm Honduran American, not Mexican American. You see how that works? So you know what? I'm gonna tell you this, and you know this. I know that you are a witness of this. Mexicans do not like Hondurans, and Hondurans don't like Mexicans. Why? Do you know? There's only one reason.
I'll be honest with you, I've never had that perspective or heard it.
Okay, well, right now you need to learn it. You need to learn it. There's only one reason. Guess. Come on, give me the Mexican side. Why? There's only one reason why we fight. Come on, you can do it. Come on. No, come on. Think fun. Come on, man.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You gotta represent, man. Come, there's only one thing: the Mexicans and Hondurans fight. As a matter of fact, it only happens once in a while.
Boxing?
Man, football, man. Shit.
Football? Okay. I don't really want to talk like that, I'll be honest.
It's all good. So we don't like. Well, I speak for other people. I still love my Mexican people. As a matter of fact, it's crazy, and I don't know if I'm just biased because I just feel like being a native, coming from an Indian tribe from Honduras to know that Mexico was the same. I just don't see the difference between us, except I'm light skinned. If you go south, it's very brown. But I mean, other than that, I'm pretty light skinned, and we see people in Guadalajara, blue eyes, blonde hair, white people, and this is all the European mix. And then you have Pancho Villa, Zapata. He's half African, half Indian. This is why he's so dark and thick ass hair and all that stuff. people.
Prefiero morir de pie que vivir arrodillado.
That's right. I love that, and I say that
I
sometimes.
love that quote.
Yep, absolutely. And you know what? I have a lot of Latinos. They say Latinos for Trump because he's the one with the policies for America first. But I think a lot of times people misunderstand, because you're going to hear me, if you ever come back to my channel, you're going to hear me say, I want every single illegal immigrant out of this country, period. That is my American side. And then my Honduran side says, I want everybody here. Like I have this toggle, right? And I have to go back to the law. What is the law saying about my two emotions? I have the emotion of I want everybody out of here and I want everybody here. So where do I go to differentiate, or where do I put myself in check? The law. This whole misinterpretation, right, of the Constitution, it totally makes sense to me. I don't think the Mexican Constitution is going to allow me to be an American, give birth in Mexico, and my children will be in Mexico. I don't think they would allow that. No country ever. I don't think any country does that. But I also believe on immigration reform. I believe that we have given people asylum, like literally asylum, not just you applied and you stay here for 30 years. That's not you being granted asylum. That's you being irresponsible, not following up, right? But I have so many people, but not me personally, but I know that there's a lot of people with DACA documents, okay? And some TPS, legitimate TPS. They have been in this country, like you were saying, hard workers. Yes, they are multiplying. They shouldn't have, but they're multiplied. Okay, I believe these are because they're still illegal. They haven't been granted permanent domicile. Like permanent resident aliens. They are permanent, so they're not going anywhere. So of course they're going to be multiplying. But anybody that's here temporary, they should be abstaining. They should be practicing abstinence. They shouldn't be multiplying here.
Should we ignore human nature? I mean, isn't it one of our inherent...
Wait. Let me ask you this question first. Well, of course, it's nature. Of course, I wouldn't wait either. But I would know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
That's our purpose here.
Yeah. I will reproduce, but I know where I'm going with it. I'm not gonna abuse the country that I'm doing it on. So here, let me ask you first. You say you're Mexican American. Were you naturalized American, or were you born here?
Born here.
Okay, then you're just
Technically, second generation American.
okay. Then you're just American. You're not Mexican. So just so you know, my children, my oldest is 30-something years old. Okay, and he's not Honduran. He's American.
Also represents it.
Yeah, you represent your parents' culture, but you're not Mexican at all. Remember, the Mexican, you can still be Aztec descent. Your ethnicity can be an Indian, Aztec, or whatever the natives are from that state of Mexico, but you're not Mexican. Mexican is the nationality. Unless you have been a Mexican citizen, you are not Mexican. That's the difference. Like, say, for example, my children, they're not Honduran. They're all American. Now, can they say that they have a Mayan? And yeah, sure. Not much, but they will have, right? Can they say they have some African descent? Sure, not much, but yeah, they'll have. Can they say they have some, Spaniard? Sure, but not much. At the end of the day, their nationality is just American. That doesn't make you any less. You can still enjoy the culture and love it, and I love that, okay? But national-wise, you are American. That's it, okay? Ethnicity-wise, sure, you can claim a certain type of native, from Mexico. That's fine. So I want you to distinguish that, okay? And the reason why I asked that is...
But at the end of the day, though, regardless of all technicalities, culture-wise, that's what I'm represented by,
Yeah, the American culture is a melting pot. If you accept the Mexican culture, you got to accept the other cultures that are in the country. I'm not saying go dress like a Chinese guy and go to Chinatown. That's not what I'm saying. But you got to accept that those are just practices. You're not really Mexican as a national. If you go to Mexico, I mean, maybe your parents give you a dual citizenship, maybe.
Mexico many times.
But you use the American passport, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, from a legal perspective, from a technical perspective, 100%, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. So okay. So the reason why I ask is.
I still feel like I'm represented as Mexican American.
Sure, and you can. You can. My kids represent Honduras as well, but they're not Honduran. The reason why I ask is not to put you down. You're not any less to me, okay? As a matter of fact, I still believe that you got both heritages, okay? But nationality-wise, you're just American, but your heritage is Mexican. I got it. The reason why I ask you is because when you're naturalized American, you have to do a test. You have to do a civics test, and you have to know the Constitution. You got it. Well, they make it so easy for people that don't speak English, but I had to study the Constitution. I had to study government and all these questions. And at the end of the day, when I got there, they asked me the stupidest question: Who's the president of the United States of America? What? What the hell? I studied for what? I spent months studying. What the hell for? I know who the damn president is. But anyway, so when I made my oath, I was told, okay, by I don't know what the title is of the person that does the interviews for you. I don't know if it's a sort of consulate or whatever, but he told me, and he told me because he asked me first. He says, do you have any children abroad? And I said, no. Why? He says, because as of today, once you make your oath, any child that you are father of in any other country, pending a paternity test, they are automatically citizens with you. Did you know that?
Okay. I did not know that. That's actually pretty cool, no?
So, if your father is illegal Mexican, not that he is, just saying, if your father is illegal Mexican, according to that right there, tells me the Constitution is giving me that, right? Because my paternity means that those children, I will use the word, they are under my care, under my authority, on the legal terms, jurisdiction, if I can use that. And so if your father is an illegal Mexican, the nationality of his children will be Mexicans, not Americans. Now, if he was a permanent resident, and some people don't like this, and I think that by now it should be taken care of already, but what will happen is if you are a resident, you still have your citizenship from your father's country. And then when you become a citizen yourself, then you have dual citizenship. Now, some people say that doesn't exist. It does. Regardless what they think, it does. And so at some point, that dual citizenship has got to go, and you got to pick one than the other over the other. You know what I mean? So it's people get offended when I mention it. I don't mean anything by it. Like you're not making you or anybody any less. That's just the fact. That's just what it is. And I'm not gonna go and say, hey, listen, I know a couple of thousand illegal immigrants. Let me call ICE. I don't do that. No, there's a process as well. I'm not gonna go and just throw people under the bus. I want to be able to be in a position where I can do something for them. This is just me. So one of the things that we're doing this year in May, we have an open enrollment, and what we're planning on doing here, and I say we because of my supporters as well on my channel and my family. We're going to put my name on the ballot to run for governor here in Washington State. Now, this is kind of like it's going to be like very controversial because you have heard me talk. I'm against illegal immigration, but I am pro legal migration and immigration reform. I believe that there's a lot of people that have come here. They were given temporary asylum. It is time to make a decision. If you have no felonies, I want you to stay here. Show me that you are good for the society. If you have been depending on food stamp for the last 10, 15 years, I'm sorry, but you got to go. Go be poor in your country. If you are, like I will say, maybe your father, right? Your father has been here, been paying taxes, he's a hard worker, he's giving you the right education. You are American, you have been raised to respect and love this country. Of course, you will always love the country of your father out of respect, and of course, that is your ethnicity. I love that. I respect it, and I will honor it, and of course, I'm on your side. But your father should be considered, not saying that he is, just an example. Your father should be definitely considered to be a resident in this country and then become a citizen of the United States of America if he really believes that United States of America is first above Mexico. and that's going to be a tough choice because only he can say that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm a Honduran, but
Who do
I'm,
you support?
yeah,
Do
go
you
ahead.
support Trump as a whole? Like you support Trump, you say? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's because he's enforcing the law. Remember, he doesn't make the law; he has to enforce
No,
it.
of course. There's the legislative, judicial, and the executive branch of the
That
government.
is correct.
You can't just pass everything.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. And
Wouldn't you say though, like it's not nice to have a president that's just like, yeah, law is one thing, but basic human empathy is another part of it. That I think that's what keeps us human, and we're not robots.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
think that a big part of it needs to be that there needs to be a certain level of empathy towards it, because there's laws, yes,
yeah,
and yes, they need to be enforced, and 100% we want people to follow them. We want people to come here in the proper way.
yeah,
But at the same time, we also need to take into account that these people are still human beings at the end of the day, and to
yeah,
uproot someone's life when they've already built their life here, whether they're legal, whether they're not legal. I would say 98% of all illegal people that I know, that are whether they're from Europe, from Africa, from
yeah,
wherever in the world, India, doesn't matter.
yeah,
Every single one of them that I've ever met is a hard worker. They work 2 to 3 jobs. I've worked in restaurants where there's guys working 70 plus hours a week,
yeah,
busting their ass. Legal or not, they're still doing things the right way. They're still, keeping the family aspect
yeah,
intact. So at the end of the day, like I hear what you're saying with the whole legal stuff, and like by law, they're technically not supposed to be here, and I agree to that. But
yeah,
at the same time, we need to have a more human approach to it, empathy, understand that we're all human at the end of the day, and we should make it a lot easier for people. Just like you were saying, there's the proper way to come. Like you came to the nation, and then you got naturalized citizen and whatnot. That's the proper channel to do it. But what would you say about making it easier? Because at the end of the day, it's not a simple process. And I think you said before that the reason that it's not easy is because they're dealing with all the people that are here illegally. Is that what you said before? Is that correct?
yeah. And so what I want, and the reason why the immigration laws were created was to attract. One of the reasons, man, it's such a long story, but I'm trying to make it as short as I can, and I hope that you're already there to understand. One of the things that we want as a country, we want to be attractive, we want to be prosperous, but we want to attract the right people. And laborers is not always the right people. You have to be realistic. Anybody that comes into the border illegally is committing a crime automatically. Working is a
Yes.
and then working without a permit is a felony, and that is the problem. So I want you to think. Remember the law. I want you to think national security. If you give, because this is you should be conflicted about this. If you give everybody that is working, everybody that's been here for 2, 2, 3 decades, 4 decades illegally, if you give them papers, okay,
Okay.
what message are you sending out to the rest of the world?
That we care for the people that are in the nation, that are within
Yeah.
the borders, that are with who we work.
Yeah,
I mean, I hear what you're trying to say. Like, yeah, what are we saying? We're making it like, oh, anybody can just come, including criminals, terrorists, anything.
okay.
I completely get that. But let's agree to the same fact that I'm sure you know plenty of immigrants that aren't criminals. I'm sure you know some that are. But and to the same effect.
Well, right now they all are because they're
cops
working
all-
illegally. That's the problem.
All cops are bad, right? You ever heard that saying, right? That's not true, though. Are all cops bad? No. Okay?
Yeah, I know what you're
People
saying.
That are racist, that are rednecks, that are whatever, KKK members. Does that make all white people KKK members?
Yeah.
No. We can't view it from just a subjective perspective. We need to look at it from a broader sense.
Yeah,
You can't just say that. Like, I hear what you're saying. Yes, working illegally on paper is illegal. That's a
Yeah.
crime, sure. But at the same time, shouldn't we just consider, like, I would consider the felonies, like real felonies. I'm talking people that are hurting people, that are selling drugs, that are killing people, raping people. Those are the people that we want out. People working, like, are we serious? Like, I don't know. I'm just saying.
well,
I don't think
it's
that's
because
a big
you're not looking that they're actually infringing on the rights of the American people. This is not their country.
In what way? They're doing jobs that nobody else
They're
wants to do.
exactly they're taking jobs that somebody else should be taking. And if it's
No,
something that nobody wants,
That's why they're taking them.
yeah, but the job wouldn't be done. And I'm sure somebody will pick up the job.
No.
You have to remember this. Just because we are not having babies here, it doesn't mean that we're just going to want baby popping machines over here that are just going to be on welfare. That doesn't help us either. I'll give you the worst example and the best example all at once. Somalians and Minnesota. Over 80% of them over 80% of them are on welfare. They pop babies every single year. They are giving out of all the money that supposedly, but now with all this fraud, we don't know, but supposedly out of all the money that they're making while they're working and paying taxes, they are minus $60,000 to $70,000 per person, minus. And the other thing that you have to take into accountability is resources. Yes, we want to have a an average of 2.5 procreation sort of growth, but having millions come into a population of a city is devastating. And if you just go and say, "Oh, look, he's a hard worker," you don't know if he's a rapist. You can see an old man over there just busting his ass off on the farm hill, and you don't know that he's raped all his grandkids. We just don't. You can't judge somebody because they're good, hard workers. I can tell you here, I know, just off the bat, I know 5 people. I'm not going to say they're illegal. Maybe they are legal. But, some of them look pretty damn shady. And then the other ones look very nice. They're good looking people. But I can't judge. Yeah, you have to stereotype. But I give them.
So you think that's a good thing?
Well, I stereotype, but I always give the benefit of doubt. So it's kind of like a silence judgment. People do that to me all the time. Please, they tell me out loud, but they do it to me all the time. So I look at them and be like, "Oh man, what if that guy? Nah, no, he's not." And I give him that doubt. You know what I'm saying? But the thought has to cross. It's there. People do that shit to me all the time. As a matter of fact, because of the criminal Hispanics that we do have and have had durante las últimas 2 décadas, 80s, 90s, all these gangbangers that came back to Central America. We have a reputation not just of being hard workers, but we're thieves, we're gangbangers, we're murderers, we're rapists, we're all this bad stuff because we're Hispanic, and that's the image that you get when you have a bunch of unchecked people, and it's you can't just judge somebody by saying, "Oh, they're hard workers." You can't do that. I'm gonna give you one reason so that you can understand what I'm saying. If they never came here, you will never meet them. You will never have known that they're working, but you will still never know if they are criminals or not. You just don't know.
Okay,
They can tell you whatever.
American history is built upon immigrants
Yes,
from Europe.
but that's why the law has changed. Yeah, but that's why we have the law. The law has to change. If they want to change the law, man, that's what I'm pushing for. I want to change the law, but I'm not Congress. I'm not legislature branch. And that's the problem.
So you would say that immigrants are the number one cause of the economic situation we're in? I just saw someone put that comment in there. I just don't think that's accurate.
Well, if you go to basic economics, what is the rule for pricing? I don't want to put you in the spot. If you don't know, just say I don't know.
What's the rule for pricing?
Yeah, the general rule for pricing. How do things get cheaper or expensive or more expensive? What is the rule for that to happen? To get cheaper or more expensive? Think business-wise.
Cheaper or more expensive?
Yeah, think business-wise.
I would say, from a business perspective, okay, their cost.
Supply and
Supply and demand.
there you
Rules of
go.
the market.
There you go. Okay, so you have to think supply and demand. You have to think about it like this. And I used to be in the real estate and a leasing agent as well. Okay, so I know and this is just like a small example, but this is how it works. We have an apartment with 300 units. Okay.
Okay.
We are at about 80% occupancy. That is no good. We want occupancy at 95%. Okay. If we don't reach 95% occupancy, we have to lower the price on our rent. We need to be full. Okay. And so when you have a high demand for housing, all of a sudden, boom, 1 million people just came to Washington, Seattle. You got 1 million people demanding housing. Hundreds of thousands of illegals have been kicked off HUD, of Housing Authority. This means housing Section 8 and housing subsidies like that belong to American citizens. So illegal immigrants have been put under because of the high demand for housing. Rents are almost double what it used to be 3 years ago. It is crazy. So you have this high flux of high demand because a lot of immigrants, not just from here within the state, but because of illegal immigrants from across the country and across the globe, even those that come here legally, okay? All that high demand when they come in, yeah, it looks good. The stores are selling the product, and this and that. But what happens? When the stores are selling everything, they raise the price. Why? Because it's selling. Why the apartments raise the price? Because it's renting. The only time that the price go down is when they can't sell something. They can put a steak for $50. Nobody buys it. They will put it down at 30. It's that simple, So supply and demand, and then so you have this. You have one problem. You have illegal immigration. On the other side, you have the government. Shitty ass government makes it even worse. If the government here, for example, in Washington, right? If we made a lot of housing and we started doing a lot of deregulations, and we can take more people in, I am sure that the federal government would allow for more people to become residents and to come here to Washington. See, that's a federal law. It's not a law that we can enforce statewide. And so they had to be involved. Congress needs to make the changes in order for us to be more flexible. And, we have laws and rules. How do we have illegal immigrants in city councils? We have illegal immigrants in Congress. I'm sorry, in government, like governors, mayors. Illegal immigrants. We have superintendents making $300,000 a year being illegal, lying about their status in this country. You know about that, right? There's that one guy from Guyana. There's a black dude from Guyana who pretended to have all these master's degrees on this and that, and he was an illegal immigrant. And on top of that, he got caught with a firearm. With only citizens can have firearms. The rights of the American people, you see that? It belongs to American people. It doesn't belong to residents. It doesn't belong to illegal immigrants or visitors, tourists. It doesn't belong to them. It belongs to the American people.
Look, I'm going to have to make a counter argument now.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that a lot of your takes right now, though, are cherry-picked data. Like, these are very cherry-picked things.
Yeah, I'm trying to give you as many examples as I can. That's why.
No, I got you. I'm just saying that doesn't define every.
No, of course not. Of course not. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't. That's just one side of it. I know. And like I said, I'm with you, bro. People don't believe me, but I do. I want all my people here. I know. Bro, I'm telling you, I used to be a pastor for Spanish churches. Believe me, I know thousands of illegal immigrants.
Spanish churches.
Yeah, so there's a lot of illegals in there, but there is a lot of legal as well. We just need immigration reform, but it really needs to go through, and people need to accept the facts. If people are here, this is one of the things that I plan on doing. Okay, in my campaign, and one of the things that I promise to do is this. I am very tough, bro, when it comes to discipline. And maybe I'm very strict with people, but I'll promise you right now. Nobody is a better boss than I am. Nobody chiquea like I do. I am the kind of boss that goes around and tells the employees, "Hey, man, great job. I'm so proud, man. Like I am. I give credit where credit's due. If you're lazy, that's not the reaction you get from me. It's like, whoa, hey, come on, man, get to work, man. We don't pay you to just stand there, right, looking pretty." So I'm that kind of guy. I will tell you, you're fired. It'll break my heart, but you're fired. But I will give you a lot of chances. Believe me, I will give you a lot of chances if I get to that point, you effed up big time. That's just how bad it is. But I am like that. I'm very strict. I'm very, vocal. I'm very passionate. And you'll be like, damn, man, this guy is never happy. He looks upset every single day. But, man, I'm telling you, man, when I'm your friend, bro, I will put you down like you would put me down. But at the same time, we got each other's back. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I am. And you'll see. I'll prove it. I'll prove it to the world. I want to be very transparent. Okay? So if I tell you, okay, what was your name? Sorry.
My name is John.
John. Okay, John. So if I tell you, hey, John, I'm going to be very transparent with you. This is what I want to do. I am going to run, and I really am going to run. Immigration reform is in my plan. Now, I'm going to go and fight and argue and say, I want this many people here. I want a background check, all this other stuff. I want a certain amount of people that I need here to get papers, pay taxes, and they have to make a commitment to us here in the United States of America. And you will see who says no, who denies that to pass through, because it will go to Congress. But just like Trump is doing, right? He's allowing these podcasters, right? These self-made journalists, that are out there doing video recording and actually doing some journalistic investigative work, like Nick Shirley or something like that, right?
Okay.
They allow them to go in there and record because they're not going to sugarcoat it. They're not going to go and put an agenda for left or right. They're just going to be like, what the hell did I just hear? Listen to this, and they will play the whole thing instead of clipping to making you think a certain way. I hate people manipulating like that. They do that with everything. They do that with law. They do that with scriptures in the Bible. They do that with regulations. They do all that stuff. And like you said, cherry picking, right? I can always cherry pick the information that I think is valid. And if you can cherry pick the information you think is valid, well, let's put it together. And at the end of the day, if we don't agree, well, then we agree to disagree. But we don't have to kill each other over it. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And
I'm all for a discussion, not an argument.
Yeah.
A lot of people get it wrong.
No, absolutely, and I love it. I've actually gotten quite a few people that have actually made me change the way that I talk. Other people just piss me off, and I have to start and call them libtards and retards, and makes me look bad, but that's what they get out of me. Huh?
You would say that there's a separation between liberal and conservative. Like, you think that should be a real thing in the nation? A house divided against itself cannot stand. Abraham Lincoln, no? I
believe on being balanced. There's things that I will have to change so that we can work together, but I'm not willing to what do you call it? Not sacrifice, but I'm not willing to betray my moral values, which I get from the Bible. So here, I'll give you this. This is something that
we're talking the Bible, though.
Yeah, no, but I'm just giving an example of where my
Jesus Christ was an immigrant.
Yeah, that respected the law. You respected the law. Remember that. Don't just go with some sort of the stories. Tell me how Jesus told the disciples to go around the world or go everywhere where they could to preach. What did Jesus tell them?
Well, obviously, go into the world and preach the good word.
Yes.
Preach the good news.
Yes, and do what? Go ahead and continue. Elaborate on that. What else was the?
That's the only part I remember.
That's the part that most people remember when they come at me. So here's the rest of it. Okay, so here we are. So we are to love one another as Jesus loved us, right? You agree with that?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I think most people do. But then people want me to accept sexual immorality. Well, if I love you the way Jesus loved me, what is the one thing that Jesus always told people when he met them? Go and sin no more. Very simple. Sin no more. Right? And so when Jesus says go out everywhere and preach the good news, if you go into a house and they welcome you, go into the house and your peace will be with them, right? And fellowship with them. But if they deny you, if they tell you to go away, dust the dust off your sandals and let your peace stay with you. He's not telling you to force yourself and be there when you're not wanted. When he went back to his people, and this is his people, he went to Nazareth and made some miracles, but because people recognized him that he was Jesus, that one kid, from Joseph, they rejected him. And he says, surely there is no prophet amongst his own people. And Jesus left. He was not wanted. Sadly, but he left because he was not wanted. He also gave us a story about give Caesar what's Caesar's and give to God what's God's. He also tells us that he doesn't come to change the law, but to fulfill the law. If you go into a land, in Rome, for example, in those days, you have to respect the law of the land. You have to remember, you got to go all the way back down to Samuel. When the people asked God for a king, well, he warned them. All right, well, they're going to put laws on you. They're going to oppress you. they will treat you like this. And the people say, yeah, yeah, we want a king. Okay, you got it. And that, my friends, is the biggest example that I can give you that Jesus is not going to come and tell you to be here illegally. As a matter of fact, he will go against you to be here illegally. What will he tell you? He will just tell you to stay home, pray to God, ask him what you need. Doesn't he provide for the birds? Doesn't he own the heavens and the earth? Does your faith tell? This is now we're speaking religiously, right? Spiritually. If you believe in God, if you don't believe in God, all of this that I just told you doesn't mean jack squat. but it's the stories are beautiful, and it's not. I'm not cherry picking the stories, but I'm putting the puzzles together, right? There's a lot of parables that make so much sense to me, and I'm sure it does to you. But the disciples, and I don't understand how stupid these people were, because when I read Jesus' words about these parables, it makes sense to me. But then the disciple says, Jesus, why do you talk to these people in parables? Why don't you talk to them the way you talk to us? And what did he say? Well, the truth is not for everybody. Will not be revealed for everybody. Some people will never know what the truth is. And they're going to be like vagabonds, like homeless people. They won't belong anywhere, neither here or there. And I don't know. People come at me with religious scriptures and stuff, and it's like, please, man, I spent years and reading the Bible and learning theology. And like I said, I'm horrible with dates, names, and numbers. I get it, but the stories, they never go away. They are sealed. They are engraved in my heart, and I just can't forget the messages. And it's actually something. Actually, now that you make me say it. Is very, very fantastic that I have that in my life. But that's the way I think about life. People want to say that I'm going to hell because, if I love my people, I will tell them to stay here illegal. That's not what my mother told me. My mother told me that I shouldn't break the law, that I should respect the law, and that's what God loves. He wants an obedient son. Well, I'm not going to tell my children, go break the law if you're hungry. I just can't do that. My mother told me not to beg, bro. That's how tough my mom was. Even if you're hungry, you don't beg. Like, I was getting in trouble. I wasn't even doing anything. But she does, and that's just how I believe. But believe me, nobody will fight more for our people than I would. You can take that to the bank. I guarantee you. And anybody that says otherwise, they are fooling themselves. Because if they're thinking about breaking laws, they are not helping their people. It's that simple. I will tell you this. I can guarantee you, any day, any time, I can guarantee you that a migrant who receives papers and permission to be here will always choose to be an American first, and the other person will choose to be the country where they're from. You got those examples in Congress. Ilhan Omar, Talib Rashid. They don't care about us. They cheer for Palestine. Well, they don't have a country, but they still cheer for Palestinians. And they cheer for Somalia. You're a citizen of this country. You cheer for the USA, and then you can help your people. But
what about other politicians who also support Israel with taking all this APAC money and allowing Israel to lobby?
They can do that. So Ilhan, for example, can support.
But isn't that a double standard?
No. Listen, Ilhan can support Somalia. She can, but she cannot put them first. We are allies with Israel. We exchange intel. When we're fighting a war, they're there with us. When we're doing strikes, they're there with us. Like right now, we wouldn't be able to be as successful as we have been if it wasn't for Israel. That's why I asked the question, right? What would happen if Israel had no military? Well, the terrorists will take over Israel, and without Israel being in the middle of this terrorist, they will attack us, Americans. Let's not forget 9/11, right? September 11th. You probably were not born yet.
I wasn't born yet.
Yeah.
But arguably, I don't know if that story is exactly how it was put. The big narrative that a lot of people follow anyway is that it was just a ploy to get into the Middle East to get oil. So I think even that is shady, They knew about the attacks before. The CIA and the FBI admitted it after that. They knew.
Yeah.
They just didn't know exactly when.
And when we went to Iraq, who took over? You remember? Who took over in Iraq when we went in there?
Not Al Qaeda, was it?
That's Iraq. But when we went to Iraq, who took over Iraq?
I'm not sure.
This is be good for your history.
Was it Russia?
No, no, it was their own.
I thought we were talking about
It was
Afghanistan in the 80s.
I'll give you the. Okay, getting closer. Who else? Who are we hitting right now?
Iran, yeah.
Yes, yes. They want to remember. Saudi prince says Iran is Hitler. Why? Not that I agree with him. Iran is Hitler. Why? Because he wants to expand. He doesn't care if they're brothers. He wants to take their land. They want Iraq. They already killed thousands of their own people. Somebody said earlier millions, but I think it's just maybe in the tens of, maybe 100,000, if any. But I don't think it's millions. I don't know. I could be wrong. Since 1979, a lot of things can happen. But I think that millions is, I think, a little bit overstretched. But yeah, so Al Qaeda took credit, right, for 9/11. And, well, that's why we went over there and kicked their ass. It's just that simple. Now, you have to remember this. War or attacks are not cheap. You need money. You have to replenish that money. And so, of course, we want that oil. It's like a spoils of war, so to speak, right? But what did we do for Iraq? We gave them billions of dollars to rebuild. It's what we do. And so we got to have some sort of benefit, like, for example, in Venezuela. Was it all about the oil? No, it wasn't about the oil.
It was, though.
No, because why? Why do I say that? Okay, here, before I tell you, why do you think it was about the oil?
I think it was about the oil. I mean, that's...
John, I'm not going to lie, man. I really like the way you talk. You don't point. Your points are valid. Every single one you made is valid. Tell me, why was it about oil?
I would say it's about oil because, well, let's think about it like this. Like you said, spoils of war, right? What was the number one way that every single nation historically has always built their wealth? War. Like you said, spoils of war. So in this case, I mean, that was our entire intention of going there. Do you really think that they care about the Venezuelan people, our country? You think that they genuinely cared about the American people? We're interested in other things.
Yeah, they do.
Vietnam, look at Korea. We went there to stop the spread of communism, right? Quote unquote, right?
Yes.
There was an ulterior motive at the same time.
That's right.
It wasn't all just about liberation.
Yeah, right. So I like, finally, somebody fucking knows how to talk. So you mentioned communists. We're there to stop communists. That's key. So the reason why I tell you it's not about the oil, okay, it's because, the story in Venezuela. Hold on. Mind speak. Let's see. Oh, boy, this guy. Mind speak, you better not be too drunk. This guy. How dare you twist the word of God about immigrant and spread the word of God, you're antichrist. He's Salvadorian, bro. He gives me shit all the time. He's my brother from another mother. One day I'm going to have to slap him around and put him back to his senses. So one of the reasons why I think it is about oil, but that's not the main reason. I legitimately believe, now this is a selfish reason, just so you know, okay? I legitimately believe that President Trump does take pleasure on recognition from the Venezuelan people and everybody that he helps. That I tell you that. That is a selfish reason. He likes to be the center of attention, and he likes to be appreciated. And that is
He's a draft dodger, though.
Remember this, not everybody's meant to be a soldier. Would you rather have, see, this is the thing. A lot of people go into war that shouldn't. A lot of people enlist and they shouldn't. And I don't know if there is a particular 100% test proof of, knowing how people's minds react to seeing the things that they're going to see, and the you know what I'm saying? The PTSD thing, that they can't overcome. I think some people should have never gone to war. They should have never enlisted. They were not made for it. They should have looked for other positions to fill here in the country. Do I think that Trump could have gone to war? Sure. But look at the way he walks, bro. You think he can be a soldier material? He's walked like that forever. He hasn't changed his walk.
But at the same time, though, I mean, I think that how did the nation start? Who was our first leader? George Washington. He was the General Washington.
Well, why did he become president? Remember, I always told you, keep the L behind you. Why did he become? How did he become president? He was not a president.
Again, he
No,
was king at first. Quote
yeah,
unquote.
he was not a president when he went to war. Am I right
No, of
about
course
that?
not. He was a general. He was a general.
Right.
He was a soldier, though.
So he was already a soldier. I don't know. Did Abraham Lincoln go to war? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Crap, I don't believe so.
I
No,
don't think
not
every
that-
president has served in the military, but I do appreciate the ones that have. I don't get me wrong. I do appreciate it, but I don't think every president has been in the military. So I can
think
tell
it's a
you.
requirement.
Yeah, I don't know. That's when you have mandatory draft, which we might actually get to be honest. But we're hoping not. I don't think so, man. And this whole draft dodger thing. Listen, if you can enlist, man, you get all the honor, you get all the credit. We'll give you the glory. But if you don't enlist, well, you don't get that honor. You don't get to have that privilege of getting the Medal of Honor or even the honor of dying for something that you believed in. I think if even me, right? I was rejected when I was 18, bro, because of my feet. I wanted to be on the front lines. I wanted to be in the army on the ground. If I die, bro, don't bring me back with one leg. Just let them finish the job. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to end it right there and say, thank you, God, I'm coming. That's just me, though. I'm crazy like that. But of course I want to live. Of course I'll be afraid. But I wouldn't mind dying for something that I believe that I was doing for my country. Not just like the stupidity of like, oh my God, I will die for you, my queen. And then she tells you to kill yourself. No, biatch, that's not what I mean. I'm not going to just kill myself for your pleasure. Are you stupid? I'm going to die trying to defend you, but not because you want me to die. That's a big difference. But that's what I think, And I mean, if I look at Barron, maybe people can hate me for saying, but I don't think he's a good soldier material, bro. I really don't. I mean, I question.
The same case when the kings would send all of the people to fight. It's the same argument, though.
Yeah, kind of, but
The elite don't
but
have to fight.
but what do we know from history? Those kings' kids, they suck. They sucked. So why send them to war when they can't fight? There is other sons that were awesome warriors and they went and fought. The kings fought, right? Because they were warriors. But if you're just born into, well, we're not, this is not an anarchy anyway, but still a monarchy. But if your son is weak and he can't fight, I'm not going to send him to war. Are you kidding? He's going to be an obstacle. He'll probably get his kill. I'm just realistic. I'm going to give you the biggest example of why I don't believe on draft dodgers like you guys say, okay? And I say you guys because a lot of people tell me that. Who, now mind you, things can change at any given moment. Who, in the story of the Bible, and just because you were raised in the Bible, even if you don't believe, but you were raised, it's great if you do believe, by the way. In the Bible, you know the story of David and Goliath.
Of course, the Philistines versus the Israelites.
That's right. So the brothers were what? Soldiers, warriors.
And he was a shepherd.
And that's right. He was not a warrior. He was not a soldier. And, well, God called him, right? And gave him victory. Those are the examples that you have to look at. Maybe not everybody's cut out to be a warrior because their physique is not there and, they lack this talent or that talent. I mean, the brothers were big and, warriors, right? But, this guy come over here with una onda y tres piedras, you know what I'm saying? He's just over there just like, hey, come here. God says you will not do this to Israel. Boom, done. Till this day, that story, my friend, look at Israel, the smallest country in the middle of a bunch of people that want them destroyed, and they can't. You know why that is? I know I'm kind of changing the conversation just a little bit. Do you know why Israel was chosen by God?
Well, if we go back to Joseph, right, and then the 12 tribes of Israel, all of his brothers, right?
Okay, that's one way, but
No, it was under Abraham that they were the chosen people, right? Where this is the land that was promised to them by God.
Here, I'm gonna bring some movies in, and you probably don't know this movie. Are you ever watching Indiana Jones?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Parts of it, yeah.
All right. There's a point to this, okay? Pay attention. There's in one of the movies, okay? the Germans, of course, it's always the Germans against the Jews. That this is just how it is in the movies. They take a lot of history, right? But the Germans shot Indiana Jones' father on the belly, right, on the stomach, because he will be forced to go after the cup that Jesus Christ drank out of. And it is said, it is said that the cup that God drank from brings life, meaning healing. And so, boom, he goes through all these obstacles, misses all these traps. He gets into the room. Now, pay attention to this. This is very important. He goes in the room, and he's like, oh, which one? Which one? He's like, come on, which one? And he goes and sees the biggest cup with the most beautiful jewels and the gold. He's like, this got to be it. And then he's like, no, that's not it. And then he starts thinking about it. And they're thinking this beautiful, just amazing cups. And then, like, all of a sudden, he's like, wait a minute. He was a carpenter. And he starts looking for the wooden cup. Grabs the wooden cup, drinks it. That's it, So he grabs it. Look about this. I don't believe that Jesus was a carpenter. It is traditional that the son will take after the trade of the father, but it doesn't really say that he was a carpenter in the Bible. Other people call him that, but he's not. At least not to my knowledge. So he takes that cup, boom, heals his dad, bada bing, bada boom, done. So I'm going to tell you why Israel was chosen by God. You ready for this? This is something that people don't understand. Oh, man, I lost you. If you can call back. Jason, you got a chance to call in. I'm going to finish the story for those of you who were listening. Sorry, John, if you have to go, I understand. All right, listen. Israel was not chosen by God because they were the strongest warriors in the world. Israel was not chosen by God because they were the smartest people in the world. God didn't choose Israel because they were just a tremendous culture to behold. It was for the opposite reasons that God chose Israel, the smallest, the most insignificant, the most imperfect probably. You know why? Because that's how God shows off to the world, and it tells you that he is the true God. That's why they can't destroy Israel. It's a fact. It is biblical. I will, however, bust your bubble, because the prophecy in the Bible says that Israel will be hit with a touch of death, meaning that Israel will be anything but declared destroyed. And when that happens, your soul better be ready and in line, because that is when Jesus comes back. Now, nobody knows the hour nor the day, but that is a prophecy. Amen. Woo, man. John, thank you so much for calling, man. If you can hear me, God bless you. All right, Jason, you can call in. Oh, man, I've been neglecting you guys. I don't know what you guys been saying. Let's see. Unpolished, my phone hung up by accident. Don't worry, John. I appreciate you, man. Hey, listen, man, I really enjoy your points. You didn't this is the future governor, Arizona. Mr. Bill, how are you?
Hey, Mr. Herrera, how are you today?
Oh, man, we're over here talking Bible now.
I heard that.
Yeah, we got a little bit of everything. But I want to be able to give people a perspective of why why I support Israel. And it's not because they're giving me AIPAC money. It's not because they're the greatest people on earth. I got my reasons, and I'm trying to get around this whole backstory of why, and man, this guy, John, I believe he's on Polish here, he calls in, and he brought up just everything on point. He wants to be a politician, by the way.
Yeah.
I
So
said,
there's three of us on the phone tonight then.
yeah, yeah. I said, just remember this: anything that you choose to do, always do two sides of the coin, and in the back of your mind, always have the letter L for law, and then don't let your emotions choose for you, but choose what is common sense and what actually abides by the law. So that was my little message today. But man, what an amazing man! He's a young 20s, I think he said, and maybe 23, I think he said, if I heard
Yeah.
him right. And man, he's got his head on straight. I think he has a lot of emotion for illegal immigrants, but
Yeah.
I think that once he goes deep into law, if he is going to be a great politician, he's going to be able to put feelings aside and not have any conflict of interest on decisions that he makes. Even though sometimes it might seem like it, if the law supports it, it's not a conflict. At least that's just my opinion.
Can I give you my perspective
Yes,
on
sir. By all means, please. You honor me.
why the Jews were chosen? Okay, God wanted to lay out His law for prosperous and righteous living. And he did that in the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible.
Yeah.
And then there were a bunch of prophets and travails, and the Jewish people rebelled. And if you read all the stories in the Bible, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
And then there were 400 years of people after the Maccabean rebellions. There were 400 years of Jewish scholars, quote unquote, like our scholars today. They're brilliant, but they're figuring it out on their own. They weren't using God's laws. And Jesus came along and he said, I am here to fulfill the law and the prophets.
Yep.
And that was what his duty was as a sacrificial lamb for the screwed up world that we live in. Everybody is a sinner and a lousy, no good. But see, what we've got now is politicians who refuse to admit that human beings are born basically evil. And if you think that human beings are born, let's see, good and righteous, you've never raised a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old. So, and all the people who claim that, including the guy who started it back in, what was that, 1800s, maybe? I can't remember. The philosopher's name escapes me, but he decided that the whole problem was that human beings were really good, and that power and the people in charge were evil. Does it sound familiar?
Yeah.
And then the French Revolution happened. And if you've read about the French Revolution, it happened about 10 years or 12 years after ours. And instead of forming a more perfect union, they formed a system of retribution. And that's why all the heads were cut off, including the guy who started it, the French Revolution. So we have a comparison of the philosophy of Rousseau, who I was trying to think of, and Voltaire, who were the French philosophers, versus the English philosophers, who were Adam Smith and John Locke. And our founders went with Smith and Locke and the rightness. Locke was all about the rights God gives every man, and Smith was all about capitalism. And that's what we adopted as opposed to the French. And of course, the French have never been right since. I don't care what you say.
Yeah. Can't trust the French.
They have been a screwed up society, arrogant as hell. And just like our leaders now, they think they figured it out because they've got PhDs and all kinds of studies and everything, and no common sense. So when you say I'm the common sense candidate, that's why I keep calling back, because that's what we need in America.
Yes, sir.
Is common sense and an understanding that the Bible is God's revelation on what we're supposed to do. So I want to go back to when I was a boy. In the 1950s, I didn't have a key to my house. At 12 years old, I got up at 1 in the morning and went around my city on my bicycle delivering the Denver Post. And my grandparents, nor my parents or my uncles or anybody in my church thought that was a bad idea. They thought...
You cut off. I lost you, Bill.
Okay.
I lost you. There
What's
you
that?
go. You're back.
Okay. Today, there are no high school students, certainly no junior high students in my town that walk to school. Everybody gets driven because everyone's so afraid because our society's become chaos. When I was a boy, we had order and we put mental patients in mental institutions. We put drug addicts in rehabilitation centers. Today, we let them sleep on the street and poop on the street, and we've made chaos out of our society because we're so compassionate. Gad Sad, who's a very good philosopher and a internationally known author and a professor, says that we are suffering from suicidal empathy. And that's what's really wrong.
Yeah.
We think everybody deserves the same treatment. In fact, that's never been true, nor is it God's law from the Old Testament, nor Jesus' teaching. It's you have consequences for your actions. And today there are no consequences.
Yep. Correct.
So we have chaos. And until we return to consequences, so let me tell you, and then but get back to your discussion for tonight. Until I see perp walks of the people at the CDC and the Justice Department and the special prosecutor in handcuffs with booking photos, I don't think Republicans are going to be elected in the fall. We have to have consequences, and that's what everybody's dying to have. Maybe they don't have those words, but we've got to have consequences for the last 10 years of illegal behavior. We can't arrest Obama, even though it was his idea. We can't arrest Hillary, even though it was her idea, to have 10 years of chaos. But we can arrest all the people that helped them and all the aides they had and all
Correct.
the people in each of the agencies. And we better not, I'm sorry, I don't want to swear. We
Well,
better damn well arrest somebody
yeah.
and
Yeah.
show them in perp walks in the next 4 or 5 months, or people are going to go, well, the Republicans aren't going to do it either.
Yeah.
And if this doesn't happen and the Democrats get back in power, I have a prediction after you have your commentary on what the result will be. We're going to have a dictator in America in 2032. I don't know who he'll be or what his party will be, or maybe it'll be a brand new party, but somebody's going to come in and restore order, and 80% of the people in the country are going to agree with it, even though it's going to remove our freedoms
Yep.
and safety. And I don't want that. I want some kind of return to civility. And I have a bunch of plans on how to get there. But it isn't going to be pleasant. People are going to have to suffer the consequences of their behavior instead of just letting them out on $1,000 bond for stabbing somebody. You heard about that back in New York City, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's already happened down in El Salvador, but the outcome is the opposite. That dictator that they have in El Salvador has actually brought peace back to the people, and people actually have their freedoms and their livelihoods back. They're able to go to work, invest, and he's known to be sort of a socialist or left-leaning with some ideologies, which I think is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, he is more conservative when it comes to making decisions on how to make the country better. And right now, one of the things that he's doing, and I just listened to him. People don't know that I'm listening to all kinds of news. I just listened to his speech. It was a couple hours long, and I listened to his speech talking about how now that they have been kind of control the crime going on in El Salvador, now he's trying to focus into doing what I want to do here in Washington State, and that is to attract businesses, tourists, foreign investors to come into El Salvador and make Salvador great again, so to speak, right? It's been a long time. Salvador, you have to understand something. These countries in Central America, there's a lot of natural beauty everywhere. And El Salvador is doing their best. Here in Washington, who knows? Maybe they're going to look at me as a dictator. But At the end of the day, it's like I'm doing this for all the people. This is what is best for the Americans. I'm putting American first. This you guys don't want to pay this tax, right? You guys don't want to do this, right? You want to deregulate, right? You want to take care of the forest. Okay, well, help me. You want to take care of the rivers. Okay, well, help me. We've made so many changes, like no littering, those kind of things is fantastic. It helps, but everybody has to pitch in, and I hope I get a lot of turnout, to clean up our state. I hope we do. I'm a big believer on grabbing prisoners and cleaning up the freeways.
Right. Well, and more than that, you were talking about the draft earlier. Of course, I went through that back in the Vietnam era. I was eligible, went in several times. I was 4F because of injuries, so I didn't get drafted. But I went through all that. Had to show up, take off my clothes down to my underwear, and stand around 3 different times waiting to go in and raise my hand and swear allegiance to the Constitution. And I was rejected because of my health. The fact of the matter is that what we need is some sort of work corps for young people that's mandatory. You can't have a job in Washington State or in Nevada unless you served at least 18 months, 2 years, some kind of time in public service. Well, I don't care what you do. You can work at the hospital as a candy striper. You can go out into the forest and clean it up so we don't have forest fires. You can go out and clean up the highways. You can help build highways, whatever it is. And you get paid for it, but it's required. And then people will be civilized. They'll come to a point when they actually get a job or go to college where they understand that they have a duty to the country. It doesn't come before God or family, but it does come third or fourth in everybody, and should be in everybody's lexicon of what their life's supposed to be about. And we've got to do something radical like that if we're going to civilize our people. Because we've got just insane people running around with purple hair and telling and screaming. Did you see what happened at the Houston rodeo the other night?
No.
It turned into a riot. And I'm sorry to say that most of the people rioting were colored people.
Yeah.
Most of them were black. Some of them were some other shade of brown. A few crazy white people with purple hair, but it just all turns into chaos because we don't civilize our youngsters in school anymore. And basically, as they say, the inmates are running the asylum or our school systems. And we just can't tolerate it anymore. We just have to turn around and go back to what worked. And we've had public education in America since the beginning. It was mostly one-room schoolhouses, and the people who hired the teacher were the parents. And my proposal for Nevada is every 2 square blocks, if 12 parents get together with at least 6 children, they can hire any teacher they want. The state will pay for it, and we're going to have 1 room, maybe 1 apartment schoolrooms. I don't really care. But kids are going to be taught the basics back to the McGuffey reader, phonics, and basic math again, so that when they get to middle school, they know how to do the basics and they can actually read the books that the teachers ask them to read. Right now, we're graduating in our school systems, some of the graduate classes, less than 10% of the people who get a high school diploma can read it.
Yeah. Yep. I know. Our kids are getting dumber by the month. Yeah.
That's not civilization.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So it's going to be radical. Whatever is done is going to be radical. It has to be in order to save the country.
Yeah.
And if you do any of it, like you're talking about, having the prisoners work, my goodness, people who committed crimes have to labor. Oh, that's so unempathetic. Well, so what? Don't commit the crime. You want to clean up the freeway.
Yeah. Well, and the human rights activists, they all came after Nayib Bukele in El Salvador when he did that. He put 70,000 plus gangbangers in there. Now, I will say this. there when you do that, yes, you clean up all of the criminals, but there's a high chance that you're also going to grab innocent people.
Yep. And that's just the price as a civilization that we're going to have to pay. Some people are going to be unfairly caught up in the net, but we have to if we want to survive. It's either going to be people like you and I, or the young man who was on earlier, who come in and do radical things that bring us back to a time that maybe you remember, but I certainly remember. My children rode their bicycles 3 or 4 miles to school
Yep.
in seventh grade or sixth grade, and we didn't think anything about it. And that was in the 80s. And today, no children ride there. There are no bicycles in a bicycle rack at our schools because the parents are too afraid. So they have somebody drive their students to school, even
Yeah.
high school.
Yeah, that's me. I'm one of those parents.
Yeah. And rightfully so, they're afraid. And the reason they're afraid is we have chaos. And nobody punishes the people who are creating the chaos. And there's no consequences. How's it ever going to change? And so the consequences, somebody's going to come along, you or me or somebody, and we're going to have a governor who says, no, we've had enough. Kind of like the Florida Ron DeSantis has done. He's much more kind than I would be. But his state works great. Why? Because he didn't tolerate interference. There are no riots down there because everybody gets arrested. And that's the rule. So if you want to have a riot in Florida, you're guaranteed to go to prison or to jail at least.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to do everywhere. If we don't do that, then we're dooming our children and grandchildren to communism. That's the only outcome that's going to come from all the
Yep.
people who have this empathy,
Yep.
which is misplaced.
It's already happening. I see it. That's what bugs me the most. That
Right.
you know, maybe these people, these socialist Democrats, they think of socialism as something of the past, but the new socialism is founded and based on Marxism, communism, and
Absolutely.
and that is there's a very dangerous combination. Not just because of Marxism teaches you to not believe in God. They are the ideology of repeat a lie enough times until you convince yourself that the lie is true, and then the
Right.
people just get brainwashed. I noticed this on religious groups. Where women are being oppressed, where women are being destroyed, they have no rights, they have no freedom, and they
Right.
believe that they are free and that getting punished is their honor to be punished so that they can be rectified and be cleansed. It's like,
Right.
wait, what? Who taught you that? Somebody had to teach them.
Well, yeah,
But
but they're taught that in the Muslim community and in other faiths around the world from little children, so that's what they grow up to believe. Naturally so. The challenge with America is we're teaching our little children that there are no consequences to anything and that you're entitled to succeed and nobody's allowed to fail anymore.
yeah,
And unless you're in a sport in high school, you never learn about losing.
yeah,
And if you can't, and you may, I don't know about you, but for me, my best lessons were my big mistakes.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that, but the law that God laid out is the basis of what our Constitution. When the founding fathers were writing about making a constitution, they quoted Deuteronomy more than any other book in the Bible in their letters to each other. And the reason is that's where the law's laid out on how people can live as a civilized group together.
Yeah. Well, people that I tell people this: if you want to learn the history of where Adam and Eve come from and all this other stuff, you can read the Old Testament all the way till the end of Revelations. But
Right.
if you want to just know salvation, the New Testament is what you need to focus on, and that starts
Right.
with Matthew 1. And a lot of people, they don't get to the New Testament. They don't get to know why Jesus had to come and die
Right.
for us to be saved. And so they focus on the horrific wars of the Exodus, the Leviticus, the Numbers, Deuteronomy, all these other wars and battles that they had to fight. I mean, it was brutal. And God said, that's enough. That something's got to be
And
done. And
right.
Jesus came.
And the quote ethnic cleansing unquote, as the current group of our elites call it, of the Old Testament and the battles that Israel fought to gain the land that God had given them.
Yeah.
And okay, so what? The Mongols did way worse than that. The
Oh, yeah.
Babylonians
Yeah.
So did the Egyptians and the Romans and the Greeks. So come on, no, what they were doing at least had a righteous motive, and the difference between you and the young man who was on, and me and others who are trying to figure out how to return to a civilization, is that we're trying to approach it from righteousness, not for me individually, but from the concept that Jesus portrays and Paul talks about, being righteous in Christ because he's righteous. And I can't come up with the verse right now, but there are two of them in Paul's letters.
I don't memorize verses.
Yeah, but that's the point. If you don't have righteous leaders, you were talking about the man in El Salvador. Well, the reason it's working and it's not an evil place is he's basically a righteous and religious guy.
Yep, he believes in God, and he's Palestinian, by the way.
Right, right.
He's Palestinian descent.
Oh yeah, really? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he's doing a good job though. But he's not like a Muslim. He's not really a Christian. He just believes in God. He's got his spirituality, is what I will call it.
Yeah,
But
kind of like Trump.
yeah, exactly.
Trump believes in righteousness, but he doesn't really have a faith that he shares.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's salvation is their own. I don't. Nobody in the chat, or in person, or anywhere will ever tell me how I need to be, because they are not going to tell me what my salvation is. Only God knows. Only Jesus knows why I do and say the things that I do. He knows my struggles. He knows my prayers. He knows what my heart is. I mean, he's molding me to be who I am today. And I'm going to say something that President Trump has to be who he is. As much as people hate him on the left, he has to be who he is because of the bad leaders in the world, like President Xi, like Putin. You got all these people that they don't respect. And I'm going to tell you something. Japan, Qatar, the Emirates, the Arabs, they don't respect a weak leader. They just don't. So Trump has to be the Azol, so to speak. People don't understand that. It's like you guys are judging the wrong way. Don't worry about his salvation. Don't worry about your salvation.
Well, if you read the book of Kings, talking about the Bible again, there can be men who are appointed to leadership for a specific reason. I believe that that's Trump in order to save our country. I really pray that that's going to be true. And I like one man who said, I don't know why we're going to war with Iran, but I trust Trump.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, if we can't trust Trump, there is no leader that we've ever been able to trust since George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. So, and back then, there were opposition to those guys, It wasn't just peaches and cream. They had battles and economic troubles and political troubles. So, every successful president that's been righteous has had to fight battles and be called bad names. I'm not at all concerned that some people hate him and some people are abandoning him, and Tucker and Joe Kent. I sent money to Joe Kent. He was running for office in your state, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I sent money to him back when he first started running in 18 or 20, I can't remember, because he was such a solid young man, and here he is now abandoning the righteousness. And I don't know why, but anyway, I enjoy talking with you, and I always enjoy listening. And I don't have anybody that I've actually followed on these live broadcasts but you. So maybe I'll call back again.
Anytime. Do every night when I open the lines, you're more than welcome to call me. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Thank you
God
for
bless
calling, Bill.
Mr. Herrera.
Appreciate you.
Governor Herrera. That's what I'm rooting for.
All right. God bless you, sir. God bless you and your family. Thanks for calling.
Thank you. God
All right.
bless.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Jason Martin, you can go ahead and call, brother. You can call in and answer 3 questions. Question number 1, what would happen if Israel had no military? Question number 2, what would happen if Israel did not fight Hamas and other terrorist groups? Who took credit for 9/11? All right, thanks for calling. Who's this?
What's up, Dennis?
This Jason?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, please don't tell me you missed the call again, because I'm about to close, bro.
Yeah, bro. I was just patient waiting and everyone's talking, so.
Yeah, I appreciate your patience, brother. And real with Mike, man, I like him. He came and visit. Yeah, he came and visit my channel one time, and I can't remember who. Somebody here in my chat recommended him to me. I don't know if it was Dosito or somebody else, but they recommended him because he thinks the way I do. I think he's just black.
Yeah, he does. I like Mike. He was your average American citizen wanting to hold conversations with both left and right to get that platform. And, I believe you're doing the same thing. I stand down and every one of you 100%. I see people in here that come into the other channel, and first thing I said is, moderators unite. Let's go. You know what I mean? A lot of great people.
So the moderators here, they know it's, they don't block people. They put people in 5 minutes, 10-minute timeout, and that's just how it is. And so I do this, for example, here, like Unicorn, right, on the chat. So he goes to timeout for 10 minutes because he's always a jerk. And then I always put a little message behind it. Go to the corner and think about what you did wrong, because they want to act like children. We're going to treat them like some. So Unicorn, where's my at?
Yeah, I do like you. I time out people based on the severity of the violation. So if they're outright racist and horrible, I give them a 24-hour timeout and try again another day, because I'm like, no, that's not tolerated. Sorry.
Yeah, no racism. Absolutely, no racism. Now people want to call me coconut. That's okay. If they want to call me a beaner, that's okay. Anything like that, I don't mind. If it's to me, it's okay. And if they annoy me, I'll do it. I'll block them. My mods, they already know that. The moderators know that I got my rules. And whenever I need more, they are more than happy to moderate and just clean the chat. It's so funny sometimes. These people clean the chat hella fast. But I want to be able to hear some of the arguments, because some of the people that just insult, that just say this, and like Melody, aka Tyrone, he's our white socialist Karen woman. That's how we mess with her. She is such a Catholic, she says, but oh, bro, the hate that she has for me, I don't think it's working.
Yeah, it's important to let people say what they want to say until they cross that line, and then you put them in timeout and be like, hey, can't do that.
Yeah. It's just Jews kill Jesus. Okay, what about the question? I don't understand. People ask me that all the time. Who killed Jesus? It's like, Jews. What about it? His own people did. Yeah, we know. Yeah. We know. He warned us about it.
Yeah, I moderate at least 8 other channels, and it's the same thing everywhere I go. I always find it that it's usually the tolerant left or intolerant in most cases that come in and just say the most despicable things. I'm like, I have faith that, and I said this in Mike's channel earlier, I have faith that there are people out there that do have common sense, that are Democrats or leftists, because I do have quite a few friends on that side, but they're becoming so much far and fewer as you go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I want to have more common sense people, because here's the problem, and we just think different, we think so different, and I think that sometimes when you have people that that believe in God, right, in the way that I do, people that believe in God the way that I do align with me. And the thing about it is, it's not that I want people to just think and agree to everything I say, but I gotta know that you at least follow. Thank you, love. That you at least follow the same. See that wife right there taking care of the husband. Make daddy a sandwich, please. I'm just kidding. It's too late for It's too late. It's too late for a sandwich.
Real quick, Dennis.
Good. It's too late. She knows. She knows to make daddy a sandwich, but it's too late.
Yeah.
We have to settle for the juice. No, but so I want to know. This is the kind of people that I want to hang out with. Okay, I am not here converting people. If I wanted to preach, my channel will be completely religious. Period.
Yeah.
Period. But I'm not here for that. I'm not here to convince you to think exactly like me, but you got to have the same policies as I do. For example,
Well, that's why I told you in the chat earlier, or told the chat, I said I feel deciding whether I'm in a sermon or in a debate. I'm not sure yet. It's kind of going every which way in tangents here. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I do both of the most argumentative topics, politics and religion. But here's the thing. So I want people to come in here. If you believe America first, well, if you don't think America is being put first, let's talk about that. But you have to believe America first. American citizens before illegals. Period.
Yeah.
And then that way we can we can dialogue and we can debate on that. But if we have different beliefs, different ways of thinking, that we're not gonna. I'm not here to convince you to do something else. I want a conversation that you will be like, oh shoot, that's right. I didn't think about that. And I've had quite a few people that have, sparked that in my mind. It's like, oh, I like that. Well, this is what I come with. You know what I'm saying? It's like they sharpen me, and hopefully I sharpen them. Iron sharpens iron, and so America first. Of course, the border. No men and women sports or locker rooms. I believe on freedom for everybody. So I don't believe that Antifa or LGBTQ should be over there in a Christian concert throwing them piss bottles. And I don't believe that Christians should continue to use a loudspeaker telling them to repent because they're going to hell.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how Jesus preached. As he went through the town, he didn't go outside preaching, yelling, repent for the end is near. As a matter of fact, the Bible says that John the Baptist was the voice in the desert. He wasn't over there in the middle of towns and doing this and that. Right? That's not what I remember. Maybe he did, but that's not what I remember.
Talk to people that wanted to listen.
Right. So what's crazy is this. So Jesus will come into people's houses, right? And he didn't yell at nobody. People just followed him. He was so attractive. He's ugly, but he was so attractive. Of people, multitudes. And he will go and eat with sinners, and he will leave and say, sin no more. That's the one part that people keep skipping when they talk about the Bible. But it also says that he will go out, away from the city, into the mountains, right, into the hills. In Spanish, it's los montes, into the, what do you guys call that in English? Like a hill, okay, like a field of grass or whatever.
Yeah.
And he will sit there, and he would preach there. There he would deliver the message, only to those who were willing to listen. It doesn't give any. Huh?
You know who reminds me of that?
What's that?
Charlie Kirk. All he wanted to do is go out and talk to people.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to end up like him. I want to be able to do something for my state first, and then whatever happens, happens.
No, I don't want that to happen to anybody. But
yeah,
he was trying to walk in the same steps as Jesus and go out and talk to people, have dialogue.
Yeah, and I mean it's like it's one of those things to where I don't pick a denomination. Like if I go to a church, if I feel that a Pentecostal church is the best fit, okay, so be it. I'm going to tell you this. I don't know if you've ever been to a Pentecostal church. I believe.
I have, and I've been kicked out of one too.
I believe that the Holy Spirit is a spirit of order. You will not be acting like a damn demon in the church. People that go crazy, dancing and running over people, okay, that is not the Holy Spirit. You need to be organized. You need to be aware of what is happening to you. You have to have order. And I see in the Pentecostal churches, people just jumping and speaking in tongues, they say, and that's not tongues. I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm going to tell you this not to boast on myself. I have the gift of tongues, and I can understand them. But that doesn't give me salvation. If I have no love, it means nothing, the Bible says. So a lot of times I've gone to churches, and I have seen people manipulating the gifts, and they think that they can just take something that's not given to them. And so I've seen preachers even touching the chin of people, and he says, whatever words come out, just say it, whatever it is. You're lying to them. There is an experience that you can't fake. There is an experience that happens when the Holy Spirit baptizes you. You can't fake it. I don't believe in prophetic schools. I don't believe on universities of theology. That's man-made. Those are men doctrines. That's not what Jesus said. How much did Jesus charge to give you the good news? And on top of that, he died for you. How much did Jesus charge to teach you the law? It was free. Give to Caesar what Caesar and to God what's God's. If you go to church, you know there's a tithing. It doesn't have to be every paycheck. There's a lot of different tithes in the church, but yet religious people keep preaching that every Sunday, every paycheck, you got to give 10%. No, the tithe is a 10% of your la cosecha. What's the cosecha? Harvest. Well, you can make money off the harvest, but you're only given that 10% once. There is other tithings every 4 years. There's other tithings every 7 years. You know what I'm saying? So these are cultural things of Jews. This is not for us. We're pagans. We're not Jews. You know, and so I have my thing with religion, and like I said, if I was to speak about religion, oh, bro, I will go off on religion. I'll tell you that. And I'll probably be even better because that will force me to study the Bible instead of just reading it or just saying I know the Bible, you know? And so I have my ifs and buts about Christianity. But as a whole, my job is to continue to guard my heart and to try to keep God's commandments from the Bible. I know the bad things of history. That's in every culture and every ethnicity in every country. But what I can tell you is that I am not going to preach you prosperity, but I will tell you that God wants to prosper you. I will not teach you anything else except the good news. And that is that we were going to hell, and because of Jesus Christ, now we have a way out. Very simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. And then from there we can teach about, we can teach each other and we can learn and grow and all this other stuff. But the one thing is that Christianity doesn't teach you to death to Russia, death to China. Christianity doesn't say that. You know what religion says that. I don't have to say it, right? And so that's where I'm at. So I give you a little bit of politics. I give you a little bit of religion. At the end of the day, I want people to think for themselves. I get a lot of haters because they don't believe in God. I get it. I get a lot of people that are so full of corruption that they don't like to hear the word of God. They don't like to hear about righteousness. They don't like to hear about asking for forgiveness, about repenting, because they love what they do and they can't repent. So, I got my feelings about all this kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, I have to go by the law. And I know how to separate God's law from man's law. Like, for example, when people try to preach to me about Christianity and say, well, hey, the Bible says that you're supposed to be good to foreigners. Yes, absolutely. Don't be a jerk. Absolutely. Treat them as you would treat yourself. Absolutely. But if they're here illegally, they got to go. Repatriating somebody or sending them back to the country where they belong is not hate. It's not racist. It's not prejudice. Even if you think they're here to do some good work, it doesn't matter. It's not their country. And a lot of people like to say, oh, human rights. Yeah, well, human rights are not legal rights. Don't confuse those. I think that there has been no administration more humane than President Donald Trump's administration. Even though they hate Kristi Noem, this whole $220 million blah blah blah. Listen, the plan is solid. You deport yourself. You have access to be able to apply again to come back to the States. You get a free ticket back to your country, and you get right now I think it's $2,000 plus dollars.
$2,600.
$2,600. Thank you. I didn't want to say because I didn't want to be wrong. $2,600 when they land in the country, brother. That's a lot of money.
That's if you want to self-deport willingly.
Correct.
You can do that. If they catch you, you get nothing but a free ride.
And a felony if you come back again.
Correct.
So that's humane. You're going back to your country. And listen, this is why we're against anchor babies. You ready? What did the left say? Separating families. Deport them together.
No, we send the children back.
That's right.
That's cool.
Yeah, we'll send your children with you. Absolutely. But you know what? See, look at Key on the chat. I don't know if you can see the chat. Dennis needs Jesus because he sinned. Absolutely. Every single day I need Jesus. That is not a trick question, not a trick statement. Absolutely. Every single day, bro, I need Jesus. Absolutely.
Well, you wasn't there on the chat, but I called in and I told Mike, look, this is for the liberals and the people that don't want to, believe in what's happening right now with the Trump administration. But listen, if you're an American and you want Americans to lose this war, you're not supporting your troops. Support your troops. They're
Come on.
your fellow brothers and sisters that are fighting for your right to sit and chat and say what you want to say. But if you can't find yourself believing in this country of America that allows you these freedoms and rights, then go move to another country that fits what you believe in. Because if you can't be happy here, then move somewhere else that will make you happy.
Yeah.
Just find peace.
That's not
all
hateful.
you want.
Yeah, that's not hateful. Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. It's not hateful at all. And you know what? It's just people don't. It's like I said, I don't want people here that are just going to be hating on everything that I say. Like the young man that called in earlier, right? He disagreed with me on the whole, illegal. He has the emotional feelings to protect the ones that are here working. But there is a national security risk that comes with that. And I just can't support it. I can't support it.
You talking about John?
No, it was what was his name? On something.
Oh.
On the Ultra. No, that's Ultra Maga. What's his name? Let's see if I can find it. Anyway, he's 23 years old. He's an American. I told him he's not born in Mexico, so he's not Mexican. But if the father is Mexican, I guess he is Mexican American.
I mean, even Mike played a clip earlier. You saw in the beginning of the podcast, we played that clip of AOC where she's saying that they need to make Americans hurt more, so that they will learn. And I was like, that's evil. How are you listening to this and saying that you're on the right side of things?
Yeah. Well, how do you protect your country? So if you're not a soldier, if you're a draft dodger or whatever the hell they call them, if you don't serve in the military, what else can you do to support your country? You gotta respect the law. While our soldiers, like Faith Walker, right? Like our soldiers are over there serving in the military. We gotta hold the fort back here.
And they know the risk when they sign up.
Oh yeah, bro.
You take that oath.
They're my heroes, man.
I took that oath for both the Army and the Navy. I knew that risk.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're my heroes, man, and I love them, and I you know what? I hope that I can somehow honor them. For Veterans Day, I know that we have a specific Veterans Day, but if it's something, right, you should just be able to celebrate any day. Yeah, like I want to see. As a governor, I have the right to command the National Guard. I want to see all of them parade in downtown Seattle.
Yes.
One day I want you guys to parade in Seattle. One day I want you to parade in Everett. I want you to parade in other, maybe bigger cities, and I want to be able to honor them. And you know what? There. I'm like a father in the house. My wife wants to spend money. She works hard. She makes her money. I got to keep a budget. My kids want this. My kids don't. My kids want that. But at the end of the day, they know that I'm managing the budget. And even though they ask me for something, I got to say no. But when we go out, 100%, bro, I enjoy it, and it feels so good. They enjoy it. They're grateful, and we all have a good time. And I think that the same thing can happen here in the government. As bad as things are, I mean, I know a lot of laws, right, have to change and whatever. And I really, like I said, I'm gonna sound like a dictator, man, when I become in there. But the thing about it is, like, when you think about other people instead of yourself, there's no other way but to make the change. You have to. You got to contaminate people with hope, with respect. For example, you got all these teenagers of all kinds of backgrounds. It pisses me off when they're Hispanic, to be honest, because I'm Hispanic. But you have all these teenagers of different backgrounds committing crimes. No, if your ass is out there committing it, you're going to jail.
Yes.
We'll make a minors jail like juvenile. Absolutely, man. We'll put it in jail. Let them suffer. They need to learn the lesson. They get a couple of strikes. You know the whole three strikes rule. But they need to suffer. They need to be punished. They need to be disciplined. And a lot of parents agree with me, and a lot of parents disagree. But you have to be tough on crime. I want more police. I want to be able. My National Guard needs to be able to walk downtown, and people shouldn't be afraid of them. People should be wanting to shake their hands. Hey, how you doing, sir? Thank you for your service. Even if they're younger than them. Thank you for your service. You should be able to salute them and thank them and love them and, man, buy them a coffee. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can you not spread that love and cheer? Like, it's so rewarding.
Again, that goes back down to the basics of learning that in education, and the education needs to be reformed drastically because they're forgetting every single basic thing about America.
Yeah, Sonny said it. It's the American dream. That's absolutely right, Sonny. Sonny. I have an accent. I don't know how to say it right. Vilma says, I have 7 family members in the middle. Oh, my goodness. 7 at the same time? Whoo. I have a lot of cousins, but, those are cousins. I don't know if that's what you mean by family members. Yeah, absolute. Man, that's fantastic. Mine speaks. Shut the hell up.
Sorry, I was the 5th generation to serve in my family as well, and I don't regret any of it. If the call goes out, I'll do it again.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I want to bring AR-15s back to Washington State. I want to bring AR-15s back to Washington State. I try to buy a vest. It's not a bulletproof vest. It is a vest that, because I'm thinking about summer, and the vest has a gun holster, right, on both sides. So I can put 2 guns on the vest and have a room for 1 extra clip on each side. I couldn't order the vest on Amazon because it's illegal in my state. Can you believe that?
Wow.
It is illegal to have a vest, like a jacket, with a gun holster on it. Illegal. That's got to be ridiculous. Yeah, here in Washington State. It is ridiculous.
Down here in Texas, you can still open carry.
Ah, man, that's Texas, man. I love it. Yeah, you can open carry here as well, but you have places where they say no guns, and well, you gotta hide it. And if you have a concealed permit, you're legit. You are allowed to have that gun hidden. And so nobody needs to know that you have it. If you have a concealed permit, that means that you did a background check. That means that that you did everything that you're supposed to. You waited. You have no signs of being crazy, like the leftist lunatics that try to tell me that they're going to kill us. We don't have those tendencies. So it's good. I mean, I can walk in and I can have my weapon with me. Nobody knows. It's concealed. It's not coming out.
At least you're not in Virginia. Virginia is getting rid of guns in the state of Virginia. That's just like spam. I call her spam burger, but she's destroying Virginia as we speak.
Yeah. Well, here in Washington, they added a just when it comes to cost. Okay, they added a regulation tax. They added an excise tax to the gas, and then they added a sales tax to the gas, and then they added taxes
Like
when
they're
you.
taking notes from California.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same. Well, this is a whole democratic thing. This is people are communists. They like to steal money from people, and then they added a tax. What was it on car tabs? So the car tabs, for example, if your car tabs are $126 here, it doesn't matter if you're paying on the car or if you own it. You gotta pay 10% of the value of the car, and so like for me, for example,
What?
yeah, I had to pay like an extra 570 dollars on top of my tax for my car because they want
Just
that
buy
money
your
to.
car in Texas and ship it to you, man. It'll be cheaper.
Well, it doesn't matter. Every time I have to renew tabs every year, you have to pay it every year. It's not just one time. Every year, and of
But
course
you're
the.
renewing your stuff in Texas. It's a Texas tag, right? You can get a Texas plate and stuff and just renew it through Texas. It'll be cheaper.
Oh man, I'm very tempted to go to Florida to be honest, but I have all the plans. If it doesn't work here in Washington, I'll do my best. But if it doesn't work here, I might be doing my
You gotta
lives.
get to Texas, brother. Florida has too many hurricanes.
Nah, there's no mountains there. It's too flat.
You don't,
I'm a mountains guy.
there's mountains in Texas. What
There
are you
ain't
talking about?
shit in Texas. All I saw was valleys flat. Maybe that's just Houston.
That's only just part of the land, my brother. There's so much. Everything's in Texas, man.
Have you not seen the Cascade Mountains here in Washington State?
Hell, we even have sand dunes in Texas.
Besides, I'm a tropical guy. I have an island. I have an island in mind, my friend. I'll be an island man. That's where we're gonna go. Who's that? 15%. You got it
It's
wrong.
okay, Dennis. Once you move to Florida, I'll go visit you in Florida. I'm not going to Washington.
Well, if you came here, it would be awesome. I hope to make a difference. We'll see, man. We'll see. Maybe once people get to see, you know, the changes, and they start seeing a little bit of hope. I'm hoping that God is going to give me the words, when I go out and speak in public, because every time that I have spoken in public, it's always God that speaks for me, and it becomes so easy for me to speak to thousands of people. I don't get scared. I'm not stage fright. Nervous, sure. Nervous that I'm going to forget what I'm going to say, yes, but not afraid of speaking in front of multitudes. That's a gift that I have. So I hope that I get the right words, to come out. I don't want to. How can I say? I have to be careful, I guess, somewhat on what I say to people out there, especially when I'm running for that position. I think I will have to use a lot more tact instead of being so free. Like here in my show, I can call people retards and all that. Probably won't be able to say those things as a governor, but
They'll use your podcast as evidence against you.
oh yeah, I'm sure. But you know what? I have my freedom of speech as any other civilian has, and well,
Freedom of speech. It's nothing you did wrong.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna exercise my rights, and I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna sort of crucify them, as they say. I'm gonna crucify them with their own logic. Believe me, I'm a very loving guy, but when people pick a fight on me, I'm a fighter, bro. I'm very competitive. And you know what? Sometimes when I want to give up, those people that want to tear me down, if you really want me to lose, you're just going to be nice to me. If you really want me to lose, you are just going to leave me alone. I'm telling you that right now.
YouTube compliance is lost. They said only Florida, Texas, and Russia wants mega. Okay, buddy.
Right. Yeah, you see that, right? Oh, man. You know what? I saw you over there being a mod for Mike, and I thought it was great, bro. You didn't even notice notice me saying hi to him. So I appreciate that.
I try to get as many people, acknowledge people as much as I can, but I do a lot of moderating, and I just want to keep the chat civil. I let quite a bit go through and put the hammer down on those that just don't make the cut. It's like that's not sorry.
Yeah, there's like people. Okay, so KT on the chat. See, they have selective hearing. Listen to this. So So they agree with me when I say freedom of speech, right?
Yeah.
So he says, so don't block people. Okay. You have to understand something. Okay. If I'm in your channel, you
Yeah.
can do whatever you say to me, and I will use my
Correct.
freedom of speech, but I'm in your house. I gotta be respectful. The difference is with these guys that they don't understand is this. If I say liptard, if I say retarded, if I say dumb people, they jump up in the air and start arguing with me. It's like,
Oh yeah.
okay, so I guess you have been identified. Now we know who we are, and they just let themselves out and they show the true colors. And I'm just like, you don't understand. You see my face, you hear my voice, yeah, you know me, you see me, and when you direct something on the chat, it's to me. That's personal. That's direct.
Oh yeah.
So you gotta be able to understand that I'm gonna go off on your ass, just like Mikey said today. I got to be able to defend myself. I'm not supposed to just sit here and take it and stay shut up. I got to be able to defend myself. It's that simple. Oh,
You're one of
man.
the ones, Dennis. They call into Mike, and then they're telling him, "You talk to me. Tell me what you think." And he's like, "This is my channel. You don't come tell me what to talk to. Talk to you. You call me.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, it's his channel, people.
yeah. Well,
You
this,
gotta learn the basics of conversation of visiting a channel."
yeah. If you come back, if you ever come back to the channel and you see a guy, Serenity, and SoCal, okay, these are two guys that come to my show quite often. To be honest, they just do it to bug me, I think. But the thing that they don't understand is this. Just like you said, right? They come in there trying to tell Mike how to run his show. I put out the subjects, right? Okay, hey, we're going to talk about this, right? And then they come in, and because they hate Trump, they just can't help themselves and start throwing hate towards Trump. But the subject is this. Why are you talking about that? Like, I'm not here to debate you or convince you to follow Trump. This is the policies. This is the subject. Stick to the subject. Do you have a question about the subject? And the moment that I let them just stay on the subject, they lose it. And it's like, okay, done. But they just want to tell me how to run my show. And that's not going to happen. Go get your own show if you want to run your show.
If you run a channel, keep it civil and everything. Like, there's times you don't even need to tell. You just remove that comment because that comment's not needed. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
So, but again, it's just about, it's your channel, this is your creation, this is your vision, and they come in and they need to understand, hey, okay, so this is my viewpoint, cool, but, just keep it civil, and we say this on the other channel all the time, you hear it all the time, I even type it in there, keep it civil and respectful. If you can't do that,
Yeah.
I'll put you in timeout.
I like that. Cutting Edge says the platform has rules. Even YouTube does do censorship without us making moves. Absolutely.
Dude,
Yeah. I get censored, bro.
yeah, you, the host, and the moderators see the messages that automatically are hidden.
Yeah. I don't see the hidden messages. So
see them?
no, unless I'm monitoring on my phone, but I don't do that when I'm on the call. But if I monitor on my phone, I can see it. I can click and see the messages. But on here on the browser, I don't see it. It's just gone.
That's where your mods come into play because they can see those hidden messages.
Yeah, no, it's gone. Yeah, and you should be. But I can see them when I'm monitoring on my phone, but not on the browser for some reason. And I don't block people. That's right, Sonny. I don't block people. I do put them in timeout, put them in the corner, and I always give them a little line. Go to the corner and think about what you did wrong. And I give them a little lip-tart crying, no, when they heard that Trump won. You remember that one?
Yeah.
The one with the green neon jacket. President Trump is Donald J. Trump is the president.
They're like your Serenity on this channel. DNL Chalk and Calvin Jackson on my channel is just, man, they really come hard when they come in, and it's just like, okay, all right.
Well, the black dude that called in, what was his name when I was there? I forget his name.
Which one?
It was a black guy that was talking about the SAVE Act. Remember, Jim Crow 2.0. What was his name? If I hear it, I know what the name is. But anyways, then there was another black guy that called in, and he set him straight. He said, "I'm a black man. I don't blah 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 blah." And Mike is like, "Well, I'm black too."
Isaiah will call in. He tells them, "Look, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a black Trump supporter, and I 100% back my president."
Yeah, the people. The problem is that people they only capture like 50% of the point. Like here, I'll give you an example here. Let me see. So Daper Dennis, of course, he's trying to make fun of my name. He says, "Yet you support war." Okay, what do I support about these attacks that President Trump has? Let's see. Venezuela benefits, we benefit. If Iran benefits, we benefit. So we're not making war against Iran. We're fighting a sort of tyrannical government who has killed 30 plus thousand of their own people and has said death to America, has the capabilities to dig out of the rubbles uranium that is 60% enriched enough to make 11 nuclear bombs and is threatening that they have intercontinental missiles. Death to America, death to Israel. Do you think that after they kill 30 plus thousand of their own people, that I'm not going to take that threat seriously? You are very mistaken.
The thing that makes me laugh is they're out here having these no king rallies about dictators. IRGC is that regime. That is a dictatorship regime. And like you said, they just killed over 30,000 of their own people. But they're not protesting about that. They're protesting about free Palestine. But aren't you kind of skewed in that if you're saying that Persians do not deserve their freedom?
Right. Yeah, and what I hear from Americans, because they have the right and they're entitled to say it, no, I don't care about Iran. Well, that's where we differ. That's where we differ. I do care about the innocent anywhere.
I could tell you, I've lost brothers, one sister, I would say one, but I've lost plenty of friends in the war while over there. And yeah, if you look into it, Iran did back a lot of the weapons that killed American soldiers over there, including IEDs.
Yeah. Yeah,
they're responsible for a lot of deaths, and the fact that they have ballistic range to hit any kind of U.S. base or allied bases in that region, what's to stop them from reaching even further?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
can hit our shores.
You know what's crazy is what's crazy that you can add to that is that they don't realize that every other one of their brothers in the Abraham Accords agrees with President Trump. Qatar is just they're defensive. Yeah, they're trillionaires, but they're defensive. They're not an offensive military. They can defend themselves against missiles, but not really that good either. So yeah, they decided to go with luxuries and have all these exotic things and for this and that, and they don't care about war. They don't want war. They just want to be vanity. Yeah, they just want to live in. Yeah, they want to live with their treasures and all this stuff. Let them. That's what Trump wants. Trump wants money. He wants to be able to trade. He wants to be able to make America the richest country on earth. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. People don't understand. If we don't act against Iran's regime right now, who is supporting China with the oil, China will come and take over, and then we are going to be Chinese. Not really. We will fight. They will make a big mistake if they try to invade our country. Many of us have our guns with us.
China will learn what Japanese said in the beginning of the Pearl Harbor War, when the Pearl Harbor attack. They said they didn't want to attack the continental U.S. because behind every blade of grass was a gun.
Oh, somebody's challenging, bro. Somebody's challenging you. Can you read the chat? MindSpeak says, damn, this caller loves to play with a sack. Hey, caller, do you think Trump should involve the Congress or other countries about Iran?
No, they should not, because he has the War Powers Act, just like Obama did. So sit down and be a good little person in chat.
Here,
my stack is definitely bigger than yours, MindSpeak.
Damn.
Get that right.
All right, in my channel, you have to say when you're done, you have to finish with "shut the hell up."
Okay, fair play. I will unleash the beast and say that. Shut the hell up, MindSpeak. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh, hey, no F-bombs, man. Come on, man. You're killing you just killed the monetary of the channel. Oh my god, bro. That's what you get for opening your mouth, MindSpeak. Anything else that you want to say to our caller?
Let me pull it back a little bit. I'm sorry.
I think
That's
it's
the New York in me, man. I'm sorry.
it's long enough, and I sometimes I sometimes I let it loose as well, man. I try to catch myself, but it's too late. It is too late.
I won't say
Sometimes it
anymore like
slips.
that, though. I'll
It's
say shut the hell up,
it,
but nothing else.
yeah. There you go. Shut the hell up. They use it on me all the time, bro, and I think it's funny. But sometimes if they're just like cursing at me, eventually they'll piss me off enough, and I'll put them in the corner. Yeah, mind speak. I know he gets on my nerves, but he does that shit on purpose. Especially when he gets too drunk.
I'm very real back on my channel. I'm very dialed back. What I want to say, I don't say in that channel, but yeah.
Hey, Track Diaries, how are you? Hey, everybody forgot about Ukraine. What's going on? Is Ukraine in peace now, huh? Because I don't hear nothing about it. There's no more war in Ukraine and Russia, apparently. Everybody just shut up about Ukraine. Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
Bro, what the hell? There's still something going on over there. What?
Over there.
NATO, go do something over there. If you don't want to help over here, go help over there. Do something.
Isn't South Korea doing something now to step up in Ukraine recently? Because I know Italy just said they're sending air defenses to what is it? Saudi Arabia.
Well, I thought I don't know, man. I thought that North Korea was actually sending soldiers to Russia.
Well, North Korea is helping Russia, but South Korea is now sending stuff to help with Ukraine.
Oh, fantastic! Let's war each other on another side of the ocean. That's what they're doing, really. Let's use other countries to fight each other. So you have North Koreans fighting South Koreans in the Europe.
Minesweep is donating to Dennis a lot today. You're good.
Yeah. Don't worry, Dennis. You can't lose the money if I am here, says Cutting Edge. Thanks, my Dominican. Man, you know what? I get so much encouragement. I get more encouragement than discouragement from the chat. And
Good for you, man.
yeah, man, I appreciate it. And the thing is, like, I just listen. I got my plans. I got my ideas. I got my wants. And my wife is the one that has to suffer because she knows that I hate waiting for things to get done. It has to get done now. If I'm excited about it, it's got to happen now, not next year, not in 2 years. It's got to happen. And so I got that problem, and I think that I have that drive, and I think that I'm going to be able to use that drive if I actually get into government. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to be waiting for.
Get rid of the words if and when, and start using the positive words of it will happen and I'm coming.
Let's see. I guess because others did wrong to us, it makes it right to do wrong to them. Dummy. He's drunk. I guess because others did wrong us.
I want him to specify how we're doing wrong again.
Yeah, mind speak.
Put it in there. What are we doing wrong? Enlighten us.
Yeah. Robert says, mind speak. Shut the hell up.
Well, yeah, I'm not there yet. I want him to put his point across of what we're doing wrong, and then I'll follow up.
Yeah. Hey, you know what you know what I haven't figured out because I haven't done it ever is bringing somebody else on the channel with me, so that we can actually do a co-op. Collab. I said collab is what it's called.
I was speaking of just now. It'd be great having these dual casters doing a broadcast share together and doing these, we're both on the channel talking with each other and whatnot, or whoever comes in and wants to do that. That's a great thing to do.
Yeah, I've noticed on the I've seen that on leftist channels. There's what is those guys that get together? It was politics. I don't know what the hell his name is, and then some other young girl that I think she still might be in high school. And then there is Pickles and some other haters that hate God, and I was like, what the hell? But you know what? They get together. Like they know each other, and they feed each other that negativity. So I guess I need to feed my positivity with somebody else that's positive on the way that we're going with our country.
RKM, buttered is the definition of you calling to a channel and saying that someone else is buttered. I recommend you get some cream for that, buddy. Shut the hell up.
Get some cream, bruh. Get some cream, RK. Get some cream for that butt. There is a butt cream. It really is called butt cream. I used to get that for my babies when they had a rash. Maybe RK has a rash. He might need some of that butt cream on. KT says, wow, your motto should be shut the hell up. What a great start. It is. Unfortunately for you, the motto for the campaign right now is make the change. Bam! Yeah, it's powerful already. Just make the change. That's it. Inspired by, I'm not even going to tell you because then you're going to start judging me. I know how you leftists are, whether it's for you. If you're against me, it doesn't matter if it's something towards you that is good for your benefit, is beneficial to you. You're still going to hate me, so I'm not going to tell you who was the inspiration for this make that change. I can actually hear him saying it.
That is a great rash for the world to have because they need to wake up.
Yeah, they
Stop
do.
the illegal invasion across the world. Stop the meth ideologies and trans crap.
Here, hold on. My speak said at the red dot. All right, I'm going to read it exactly as he says. I was trying to interpret for you. He says, I guess because others did wrong us, doing wrong make us right, I guess. Dummy. Dummy with an I.
I mean, you can't even spell. Shut the hell up.
So we still understood, and the question was, what did we do wrong? That's what the caller said. What did we do wrong? By the way, the caller's name is Jason.
Hi, I'm Jason Martin.
Yes.
I'm your nemesis. Come at me.
Oh man, you know what? I get all fired up in the daytime. Nighttime, I like to try to be a little bit more chill, and so taking this kind of calls is just like it's not a heated debate. I just want people to know that I'm not always yelling at everybody for no reason. You guys make me yell for a reason. Let's see. Mindspeaker, stop replying to other people and answer a damn question. Go out there.
He doesn't want to come at it, man. He has nothing.
Mr. Mikey, welcome. How are you? Oh, man. All right. Well, I had questions prepared for you guys, and only my regular people were willing to answer it. So I gave everybody a chance. I gave everybody a chance to answer the questions. I guess we didn't have that many takers today. But you know what? What is it? Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. We got a couple days left in the week. I'm sure we're gonna have some new things coming up. Hopefully, some updates on Iran. I hope that that we can all come together. Hopefully, as a country. And for all those illegal immigrants that come into my chat, you can all go back to your country. For those Americans, well, real Americans, you guys can continue to come and visit me. Let's chat. Let's have that conversation. And don't stop having conversations because that's when we lose our unity. With that being said, hey, Jason, thank you so much for your call, brother. Appreciate you being here.
Tomorrow I'll get paid. I want to be a membership.
Hey, don't be spending too much money on every channel, my friend. I know you're a member over there as well. All right, brother. You be blessed, okay? Thank you so much, Jason. I appreciate you. I appreciate the love on the other chat. I appreciate you, man. Take it easy. Bubba! Oh, man, you came and catch me at the end. I missed you this morning, my friend. I miss you this morning. Burner 47, always good to have you. KT, have a good one, bud. Have a good one. Everybody else that's coming to the chat. Thank you, Brian. You know my regulars. Blue tears are salty and yummy. Smug faces says coyotes. Oh, I know you missed that. I know. Harry Bug, I want to hear you on the FM or AM. Harry, that's a good idea. You know what? Maybe I'll reach out to somebody on the radio, but I want to do that once I am officially running the campaign for governor here in Washington State. And you'll see me on other podcasts. Hopefully, people will invite me to come over and talk about what I think about Washington State, what changes I plan on making, and how we can make Washington make that change. It's that simple. Guys, Brian, Robert, all of you guys, my big bros, Big Sis, Faith Walker. Faith Walker says, Dennis, you're a traitor. I can't believe you love Trump. Faith Walker, God bless you, man. You be safe out there. Take care of yourself. Mind speak. Have a good night. What do you mean, man? I got my wife. I got to pay attention to the wife. You have a good night. Be blessed. See you tomorrow.